Hello, everybody. We are back with episode 16, I believe, of the Irrelevant Podcast. I'm noticing the surge in views. I'm very appreciative of that. Thank you guys for listening and tuning into the podcast. It means a lot.
Gonna
So
buy
I'm
my
here
mama
with
a
Jason
house.
again. Yes. So that's what Jason's going to do with it. I am going to make money off of it, even though I don't make shit off of
You're not
this.
gonna
I'm just
make
kidding.
dick.
No, I have to. I think I forgot to see. Like, you can check. You need a certain amount of views and subscribers in order to actually like make revenue. I'm like nowhere near the amount.
Well, even if you do, the money is pennies on the dollar. I don't even know. You have to get like a branding deal or something along those lines.
Yeah, right. And you also need you need a lot of advertising and like sponsors and stuff like that.
Yeah, I guess that's
Which I
more
mean,
what I
like
meant.
that's because like yeah, because I know it's getting harder and harder, and it's kind of started in like 2017 and stuff like that. I think where like YouTube was just like it was getting harder and harder to like make money off of it. Even though I remember before there was like people that like they switched and they just did YouTube full time.
Yeah, and
But
that's
like
what I
now,
gotta imagine
yeah,
that's the hardest line to figure out when you quit your fucking job to do YouTube as a career.
I know, cause like I mean, even when like I was little and like everyone wants to be a YouTuber when they're little. Like my mom told me she was like, well, with that kind of job, like you never know what's gonna happen, really.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure it's still a fun job, depending on what you're doing.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it is. It looks. I mean, obviously everything has its own stressors, but you fucking wake up and there's your job right there.
Dude, remember the fucking reaction videos?
I mean, I think they're still pretty strong. Yeah. But I remember
Have
like the
they
golden era when they were
actually?
really fucking abundant, really awful.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about the like when PewDiePie does it, it's actually funny, and he actually like provides commentary and edit it, and he like edits it in a way where like it's actually like well crafted and stuff like that, and there's like an art to it. And he's also just like really fucking funny. But when I remember there was that era of like the Jinx and the Tyrone Magnus and all that stuff,
Yeah.
where it's just like they just watch a video and like that's it.
Like 2016 era. I think that was the height of the cringe.
Yes, you remember Jinx, right?
Yes, I do. I remember cuz I'm sure you remember iDubbbz, right? He made all the content cops.
No. Yeah.
And that's how I heard of Jinx. Actually, I can't remember if I heard of him through iDubbbz or if I've like seen a couple of his videos beforehand, but I knew I don't know why. There was a lot of fucking shit stupid that I watched back then. Like I didn't even enjoy it.
Yeah.
I liked watching like really I don't know, it's always a cringe thing. I've always like watching cringe compilations or like failed stand-ups or stand-up comedians bombing on
Right.
stage. Like it's my favorite fucking genre.
Dude, do you remember the flipagram roasts?
Yes, I do remember those.
Those I lost my shit sometimes watching those. Like
Uh,
I was just like a stupid eighth grader. That was like the funniest thing ever.
God, it feels like a fucking decade ago.
I know, dude, we're so old. I feel like I sometimes I still look back and I'm like, aren't I supposed to be in seventh grade like in elementary school still? Like I still feel like I'm in seventh grade.
It's like, dude,
It's
you can't even
insane.
drink yet. Chill out.
I know what the fuck, but like now I just feel like I'm like an old man with like the hours and like just like the fucking gym and shit. I'm just like, oh god.
No, I feel it
But
too,
it's
man.
whatever,
I fucking feel
cause
it.
but it's nice though, cause I have the weekends off. If it was 6 days, then that would be awful.
Yeah, 5 is a good threshold because you feel like you're productive and your time is worth it. Then you have a nice, good 2 days of rest. But 6 days is too much.
Dude, get this. So when I was a little kid, this was my hypothesis when I was a little kid as to why we had 2 days off for the weekend. Um, so I remember my sister or my mom had told me, I don't remember who, but they told me that your body could only go 3 days without water. And so I didn't drink any water really, outside of school. And so I assume like, oh, that's so that we get dehydrated and then so we can go back to school and drink from the water fountain, and so we're not dead.
That's what you thought.
Yeah, that's literally what I thought when I was a little kid, and I was like, "Oh, I put two and two together. There we go."
Drinking from the school water fountain probably gets you closer to death than not drinking water.
Well, I
Always
actually
tasted
went
like
to
fucking pennies.
right. Well, I like the one at the fucking store y'all have. It's just like sulfate deposit.
You still drink out of it too. Even
Not anymore. I did, but like, I mean, up till recently, but I don't do it anymore. It's so gross.
yeah, it's not good. I just moved house and the place I'm living at doesn't have a reverse osmosis filter for the water. So I've been looking at water filter pictures all day and it's been a fucking bad idea because dude, I've just been going down the rabbit hole of well these filters only block out these specific additives or these minerals doesn't take this out or oh you got to change the filter every
Damn.
6 months. It's like dude, I shouldn't have fucking gone down this rabbit hole because now everything I drink is going to kill me. It's like fuck. But it's still safer than tap water, I guess. Unless the filter's adding
What
some
is
new bullshit that's also bad for you.
what is the whole like hoopla over tap water?
So
I don't understand.
it varies from state to state. Like I think there's like New Mexico, like Arizona as an example. The tap water there has a high concentration of chloroform and a bunch of other like really bad chemicals. And I guess the water treatment plant, it's either additive. I'm sorry, it's either an additive from the water treatment plant or they just don't correctly take it out. I'm not fucking sure, but there's different areas like like in Flint, Michigan, how the water well or the city water got poisoned. So and that was causing fucking a lot of problems. So there's just a lot of shit in the water that is not good. So there's fluoride, heavy metals, a bunch of other chemicals, and there's a specific acronym that they called it. I can't remember what it was, but basically, these filters take out that kind of stuff. But also, there's people saying, well, there's also good minerals that it takes out. So it's almost like you're depleting yourself of anything when you drink water. But if you just drink regular water and then also have a high mineral diet, that also solves your problem. So I've been fucking going back and forth all day. It's just stupid.
You're having like a panic attack of whether or not this is good for you or whether or not like it's bad.
It's stupid, but I really do get high
I know,
anxiety about
man.
that shit. Like, it also irritates me so fucking much. Like, we pay so much money in taxes, and they're just gonna fucking be content to poison us with the tap water. It's just fucking ugh. But I think in our area, it's not super super bad compared to other places.
Tap water, I think, tastes fine.
I still wouldn't drink it though. But I mean, yeah, compared to other places, the other parts of the country, I don't think we're too bad now. I don't know.
Well, I understand that with the because I know you're a tea person. I think it's really cool how there's like the Irish breakfast and then the English breakfast and the Scottish breakfast. But I didn't realize that it was only that way because like in terms of the tea, it was only that way because of like the different areas had slightly different tasting waters, and that's why like you have to drink it like to get it with the best experience. You want to drink it with the the water that's from the respective area.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that like they like kind of tailored the tea to fit that water. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, that sentiment carries over to everything. Like, that's why people make such a big deal about when things are made in specific regions, like Champagne in France or New York City pizza. Like, all that takes water to make, and different water is going to have different characteristics and different tastes depending on what region you're in, especially when it comes to food and beverages. So, because, like, I
Yeah,
know
man.
specifically, like, New York City, like, the whatever's in the water that they make the dough with, it just gives it that specific iconic taste.
Dude, the food in Rome was just unreal.
Yeah, most of Italy had fucking phenomenal food. I'm not gonna lie.
Then we all got food poisoning. So,
Did you?
well, yeah, because the food is like, I mean, it's made so different than it is here.
I didn't have that
Mine only
problem.
lasted. Mine was very slight, and it only lasted for like one night, and then I woke up the next morning. I was fine.
The only
But
thing that I remember they recommended you do when you're in other countries was to not drink like the local water, just to always drink bottled water. Um, but I don't remember them saying anything about
okay,
the food. I didn't get poisoning, but I
okay.
got fucking food poisoning here. Did I tell you that?
If oh, from where?
So I went to a really nice restaurant on Valentine's Day. It's a nice French restaurant and got really great reviews. The food was awesome. I ordered halibut, and it didn't taste bad or anything. It tasted awesome, and it was like one of those you pay like $80 and they give you like a 3-course meal plus a dessert. It was one of those kind of things, and so I'm
Nice.
fine. And then I go home, and then at like midnight, I'm like, oh, my stomach kind of hurts, and I had a little like ginger gum thing to calm down some nausea, and that didn't work. And then 10 minutes later, I fucking like, oh, I gotta go. I'm fucking nonstop throwing up until like a day and a half later. It was like every 20 minutes. I thought I was going to fucking die. I'd just keep chugging water just so I wasn't dry heaving. And so I called the restaurant and I was like, hey, I'm not trying to start shit, but just to let you know, like, just so you don't get other people sick, I probably would throw away that batch of halibut that you had last night because I got sick off of it. And then the fucking chef, I guess who was actually friends, was like getting offended because he thought that like I was calling the food bad that it gave it poisoning. I'm like, no, it was fine. It's just it was a bad batch. It's fish. And then he's like, I don't understand. There's a couple other people that gotten sick from this. I'm like, then fucking throw it away. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, if it happens to like more than one people, just put two and two together and like
Yeah, it's like I literally said I'm not making a big deal about this, even though I'm almost on my deathbed right now. But just fucking throw it away.
man, dry heaving is very unenjoyable.
Dude, I sound violent. Like, it's loud. Like, I just fucking let loose just to get it out. Dude, Matt will tell you because I had to go into work that day because he had to go do something and I was the only one there. So I was there by myself for like 3 hours. And literally, when customers came in, I'm like, I'm so sorry. I have food poisoning. I don't have COVID. I'm going to be throwing up. So don't mind me.
Sorry, don't mind me. I'm just gonna be really loud and just go heaving in the back bathroom.
Yeah,
Sorry.
and it was funny because I had to. We were shipping a really expensive, like $10,000 acoustic guitar, and I had to check the action and look at the setup, and I just could not fucking focus, dude. It was awful.
Man. Oh wait, do y'all like? How far do you ship things?
Nationwide, and only international if it's on a U.S. base.
Okay. So like, what's the farthest you've delivered to?
Probably Germany.
Oh wow. How the fuck do like fucking Germans like know about y'all's store?
Well, like I said, we only ship to U.S. military bases, so I think it was like a guy that came into the store and then was getting deployed and then ordered it while he was there.
I see.
I think that's how that went down. But yeah, I've kind of toyed with the idea and trying to see if we could do international shipping, but dude, customs is such a fucking nightmare. Like, they will hold your shit for the slightest thing that they think is necessary, especially like when you're importing different kinds of wood. Like, it's just a problem. So I don't even mess with it. Like, I don't think we're big enough of a company to deal with that kind of shit, and I don't even want the headache. So for now, just military bases.
Right. I mean, yeah, because I knew y'all did deliveries, but I just assumed they were kind of in like the Virginia, Maryland, DC area.
So we've never done a delivery. There's a couple people I volunteered to offer, but they always turned it down. I don't know. I was bored. I was like, "Hey, this is only like 20 minutes for me. I can drive it down if you want." And they're just like, "Nope, ship it." I'm like, "Okay."
Dude, it's the convenience. It's like the Uber Eats,
Yeah,
man.
exactly. Like, who else would fucking drive your shit to you besides me? But no one's taking me up on it. I guess. I think it's weird. I don't know, but
Yeah, but it's
it's
like
free delivery,
that's the
son.
thing. Yeah, I know, and I'm like, you're not even the one coming to get it anyways, so like, it may as well just make it easier. And
Dude,
then,
there's been people that have ordered something like a town over and they still want it shipped to them. It's like, just come fucking get it. Oh my God. I can't imagine. Like, I hate waiting for things to be shipped. Like, if I can get something that day, I will go drive to get it.
yeah, exactly. Well, that's me with my job now. Like, if I need to go to like the other side of like Virginia or like Maryland, something like that, for something we need tomorrow, like I need to go, and like I need to get it now.
That's crazy. And yeah, I remember you mentioned that you drive around a lot.
Yeah, man, I'm going to DC almost like every other day now.
Rip. Fucking rip.
I know, dude. Driving into DC is ass dick.
I just think it's funny you just got your license and now you're just getting the full experience of the worst traffic line in the country.
Yeah, it's just smacked me in the fucking face, man.
That's good. You'll be a
Um,
well-seasoned driver in 6 months.
oh, dude, been, I've already been like progressed so much just from like navigating DC.
My dad always threatened to do that to me when I was taking when I was in the process of getting my my learner's permit, when you had to get all the hours and shit. He was like, "We're gonna do night driving in DC." I'm like, "Please don't."
Dude, I am so glad I did not need to do all of that bullshit. That was so nice.
What do you mean you need to do that?
I didn't need to do it because I was 19 years old.
Oh, that's right. You don't have to get your learners when you wait. I forgot about that.
No, yeah, exactly. All you need to do, no, you need your learner's permit, but you don't have to do all of like the hours and whatever. All you need is um to have held the permit for at least 60 days and pass the road skills test, and that's it.
Oh, well, that's fucking convenient. I honestly,
I know. I'm glad I waited, man.
I don't know. It was so long ago. I don't even give a shit.
Yeah, dude. There's a lot of things that were so long ago. I couldn't even give you like my take on it. You know, like on some like random bullshit that I did. I'm like, I don't know. I was retarded back then.
Do you ever have those? I mainly have like I don't remember my time in kindergarten or first grade, but I remember specific things from it, just like very specific memories.
Ah, yeah. I remember some parts of kindergarten and first grade.
But I don't remember being sentient, if that makes sense. Like I didn't feel
No,
conscious.
right. I do understand what you. Well, because it's like everything is just like happening in front of you.
It's like I don't remember experiencing it. I just like it's always felt like it's been a flashback, which is really strange.
Yeah, and like no, but it's weird how you remember like these random interactions you had with people all this time ago, and it's like these very specific instances for like no reason. I don't like some random like thing someone said to you, or you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I really want to know why that's important to our brains. Like I can understand traumatic things or if it's a big change of events or just something super significant, but I don't understand why I need to remember some like bullshit conversation I had with somebody when I was 5. You know what I mean? Like I don't know why that
No,
sticks.
yeah. I'm like I remember all of the bullshit conversations I had when I was 5, but I don't remember any of like the actual lessons and shit I learned when I was 5. You
It
know?
just feels instinctual.
Yeah, because we just like want to socialize and you know
Yeah.
move up in the hierarchy.
People in a society be like
Yeah, dude, the kindergarten fucking hierarchy.
kindergarten hierarchy.
Yeah, man. At my school, we had the fucking red table, the blue table, and the green table. And then I wanted to be on the blue table so fucking bad. But this, of course, this fucking kid who I'm not gonna say his name on this podcast. When it's like we would rearrange the people where you would sit on the 4 tables every time there was like a new quarter, right? And so it was like the last quarter. I was like, all right, it's time to be on the blue table. Let's go. But then of course this kid goes, oh, Will's already been on the blue table. He needs to go to the other one. I'm like, what? Are you fucking serious right now?
Why did you
Are
want the
you
blue
fucking?
table so bad?
Because I loved the color blue. Because dude, I was in kindergarten. Like everyone has like a favorite color and shit that they like attach everything to.
Man, I really didn't give a shit early because I remember like coasting through. I remember so like our kindergarten. The only thing I remember was like coloring, and my teacher made such a big deal about coloring in the lines, but she got so mad about it. I remember it being
Yes,
really
I know.
funny,
Mine did too.
and I would just sit there and fuck with her.
It's,
I could clearly color in the lines because there's like we had to do like 4 a day, and I had like my 3 other sheets, and I went like a little bit off of one because it was a little tiny curve. I don't know why I remember this. And she looks at me and she's like, you could see like she must have some OCD or some bullshit, and she was just sweating. I swear to God, and like. She saw on my face that I realized that it was going to be a problem, and then like I started smiling, and then I just like scribbled all over the fucking paper and didn't do anything, and she just put me in timeout.
dude, back in the day, we were grinding on those coloring sessions, man.
Yeah.
That was a lot of work.
I don't know why it mattered that much, but I just thought it was funny. Like it was just like color in the lines. Like fuck you, bitch.
Yeah, well, for me, when that kid prevented me from sitting on the blue table and I never got to sit at the blue table, I was like, fuck you, man. You're such an asshole. So I think this is a good segue into the topic for the podcast. Jason recommended to me a band that is fairly well known. He made a playlist of their music. They are Slipknot, I'm sure a lot of you have heard of them.
They're also making a
I
resurgence.
um oh, you mean like in the past few years or like
Yeah, in the
right
mainstream.
now
Because
is
I remember back in
okay.
when I was in high school, like I didn't like this kind of music forever. I liked rap first, and I thought like mainly it's because the people that listen to this kind of music were weird. So I like
Yeah.
you, like I only heard a couple of like Slipknot songs, but I didn't have that context, so it just sounded like noise to me. But getting into
Right.
bands and then getting back into them, I really enjoy them now. But I think also through hip hop and a lot of like the reaction channels, like making that shit mainstream, because there is a silver lining to all that dumb shit, is it does give bands exposure. And I think it stuff with like TikTok and all that cringy shit, it's gets millions of people to look at it. So I think Deftones and a couple other, ICP too is another band that people are kind of get back into or just getting exposed to from those things. But yeah, Slipknot is a lot more versatile than people think, so I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it.
Yes, no. I mean, what Jason just said could not be more true. I was well, initially when I heard like the first like 3 tracks, I was like this is kind of what I expected. Like I don't dislike it, but I don't really particularly like it. I mean, it's nothing bad, but even with the first 3 tracks, I certainly could understand why it's something that people like, you know?
So for other
Like
context, I'm not going to say he's the only one that did it or that there's people before him that did it, but he really popularized that fast screaming rap style that he does. And the other thing I like is the guess, like for context again, I did the same thing with Chevelle, except that I started with the earlier albums first and then progressing to the later albums. I think it had like 2 or 3 songs per album. I don't quite remember. But the thing that I like about their, because like I don't bang that stuff all the time. I didn't grow up with listening to their first 3 albums. Actually, I think Iowa was the one that I listened to first, but obviously I liked a lot of their more melodic stuff. But that's the thing that I liked about their earlier albums is that it was really raw and chaotic, and but it also like his ability to put a lot of melody into that too is really interesting. And then obviously that becomes more dominant as the albums progress, his ability to create really catchy hooks and choruses and melody.
yeah, they had some it's like in like I was talking about like in the early tracks which are like Wait and Bleed and like Spit It Out, Left Behind by the way. There was like I forgot which one it was in. There was this part where he was almost like rapping
He
and like it wasn't cringe. It was really
It
good.
was Wait and Bleed. Also Spit It
Yes,
Out
yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm sorry, it was
Yeah,
probably Spit It Out. I think that was it.
yeah, right. It was Spit It Out. I remember in that song when he was doing that like rap part. I was like, man, he actually pulled this off. This is really cool.
Yeah, so like I said, he really that's his style, is like that fast rapping and that scream rapping that he does. Like that's kind of really like when you listen to that, it's him. Like I said, I don't know if he's the first guy to do that, but he definitely brought it into the main stage to kind of blend
Did
that two
they
genres.
right? Did they? I wanted to ask you. Did they kind of did Slipknot popularize that kind of like that, like kind of like demon sounds in music, or had that already kind of just been established?
No, I mean, so I mean, this is highly debatable, and I'm purely just from my eyes what I think. So I mean, obviously, like death metal and growling and shit has been around for a lot longer than that. There are more
Mhm.
genres kind of new metal, and that's what kind of bridges that rap and metal genre. So I think Korn was probably a band that really popularized that before Slipknot, and then Limp Bizkit just made it cringy. There's a couple other bands too that kind of have that style, and Slipknot is kind of in that vein, except they don't really use too much like hip hop esque beats and sounds in their music. It's purely
Oh
metal, but he
no.
just uses that rap style in the songs. But no, there's been people screaming before him. But the thing about his screaming is that his screaming is really coherent, whereas a lot of like earlier death metal it's just growling kind of thing. But he plays a lot with the screaming, so he does high, low, and you can really understand what he's saying, except for sometimes when it goes super quickly, obviously. But he doesn't do that in every song.
Right, but also like in a song like Wait and Bleed, and Spit It Out also like he doesn't like just do that the whole song, which I like. He actually does. He sings a bunch of different styles like in the same song,
Yeah, and
and it's still cohesive,
that's what I'm
which I
saying is
like.
like they're a lot like even on their earlier stuff, even though it is raw and chaotic, like it is pretty versatile, and there's a lot of different types of melodies and blends that they do. Also, like I said, it's the kind of thing that Gojira does. I'm not sure if Slipknot directly does this or if he just has a very. I mean, I've seen them live and I can understand them live because I know the songs, but I feel like if I'm listening for the first time, it might be harder to understand live. But doing like clean singing tracks underneath of the screaming to kind of poke that through the mid range so you really can understand the screaming vocals. That's a technique that a lot of bands use.
Yeah, I did get some Gojira vibes on
Um,
the on
yeah,
this.
so that's that very specific screaming style is that's why you can really hear it very well. But like I said, it doesn't. I mean, a lot of people like there's true Slipknot fans that don't like the direction that they went in, but they've always kind of had that kind of pop structure, if that makes sense. The way that he structures his vocals and the way the songs are
Right.
actually structured, minus the breakdown, obviously. So, but a lot of people don't like the newer albums for that reason. But they're also like people got to remember like they're getting older. Like you can't do this shit forever. It takes a toll on your voice, even if you do it correctly, or at least do it to the
Yeah.
level that like somebody like Slip or Corey Taylor and Joe from Gojira does. Like it just it fucks you up.
Yeah, I'm like, guys, like, look at what happened to Filthy Frank. Like, you can't just like do that
Yeah, that
for
was
like
just pure
exactly.
fucking. He just destroyed his voice just from vocal frying or whatever the fuck he did. But it's just yeah, you gotta take care of yourself. You can't do that shit forever.
I mean, I still respect him because like it makes the videos like 10 times more fucking funnier.
No, I agree, but it is
Yeah,
important.
like I respect him for going through that for us. You know, because he did it for us, man.
It's like you were asking me the other day when we were about to go to the show. If earplugs wearing them is important, and it is because you go fucking deaf before you turn 50. Sometimes it just depends who you are as a person, but it really is important to protect
Mm,
your fucking vocals and your hearing.
yeah, because like that shit isn't it basically? Does it have to do with like the rattling or whatever?
It's just the
With like,
specific decibel that and also specific frequency that really damages your ears. I'm blanking on what the numbers are, but I have a brand called Eargasm earplugs. They're nice. They're like a silicone ear plug with a foam filter insert, so it only cuts out the harsh frequencies. It damages your ear, but it doesn't kill the high end, because like the thing that sucks about earplugs when you go to a live venue, and it's really bad with metal because metal is hard to get guitar and vocals to sound good. You have to have a really good engineer or a venue that doesn't have shitty fucking gear, and I can go on that forever. But basically, when you have earplugs, you really can only hear the bass and the drums. That's like really what thunders, and you struggling to keep up hearing the vocals and the guitar. Even without earplugs, that's a problem in metal. But with them, it kind of sucks. But that's why I like these ones, because it only filters out the harsh frequencies, but it doesn't kill too much of the high end, so you can enjoy more of the mix live, as opposed to just the standard foam plugs or headphones.
and keep in mind, this is not Jason's sponsor. For anyone who's wondering that.
But if they're welcoming, I will embrace.
Hey, yeah, and yeah, I was just this is obviously, since we had to delay this podcast, I got to listen to this more, and it kind of resonated with me over time, because I was just very surprised, like we were talking about, with the amount of like creativity that's in this stuff.
Yeah.
Like in uh before I get, I really liked that track. Also, I think The Devil and I, that is like, I think that's my favorite song in the whole
Really?
playlist you sent me. Yes, I love the riff. I love like the singing and like the actual words. I think they're really good, and like they get me going. Like that one's going directly to the gym playlist.
So that off them, and I don't know if I think I only chose one or two songs off that album, because that album to me is my least favorite. But for context on that one, I mean, fans kind of leave that one alone because their original bass player died, and it's kind of like that Michael Jackson scenario where they're not like they're pretty convinced, especially his family, that the doctor like purposely gave him too much. I don't know what they prescribed him, but he basically overdosed on medication. So
Right.
people are trying to figure out whether he was suicidal or like the same thing with Michael Jackson, like he just got too high of a dose. I don't remember. It's been a while, but anyway, he was really close with the rest of like it's besides like a new drummer, because the drummer's also dead too. So they have a new drummer and a new bass player.
I never knew
Yeah,
that.
so they dedicated that album to him pretty much. So
You
it's
see.
a more moody
So
kind of album. It's the most different Slipknot album that there is.
yes, okay, so it's kind of, people judge it differently.
I think so. Like I said, it's not one of my favorites if I'm just listening. Like, I never play songs on it. I picked The Devil and I because that song, I think, is their most popular now. Maybe that's the one that a lot of people do reaction videos to, because the music video is kind of crazy. Well, not crazy to my eyes, but if people are not exposed to that. My favorite music video is on Before I Forget.
Just
Where
simpletons.
did you watch the music video for that one?
Oh no, I mean, Was that part of what you wanted me to do?
No, I completely forgot about it. Slipknot's music videos are really fucking awesome,
Yeah.
but that one was cool because they find this fan had like an old house and like they basically let a bunch of people come and just like mosh and destroy the whole thing, and they just basically paid them a check to, I don't know if they were moving or whatever. They just paid them a bunch of money so they could destroy their house, and it gets really cool footage of people like going falling through the ceiling, they're throwing shit out the windows or running from the yard and just fucking moshing and headbanging with the band inside. It's really cool footage, especially with the masks. But besides
Yeah,
that,
that's
yeah,
something.
I'm trying to think. Like I said, it's been a while, so I don't even remember all the songs that I recommended to you.
Well, I mean, I have the list right here. So, um, Wait and Bleed, Spit It Out. Those initially were kind of like my least favorite tracks, but I think now they're honestly getting to be some of my favorite.
They're perfect for the gym.
Yes, man, no, because this is really good. Like, remember when I was talking to you initially about how in the beginning I could see, even if I didn't necessarily like it, I could still see how this is something that people liked.
Yeah, it has.
You
You
know,
can see the appeal.
yes, I could see the appeal definitely, and I lean more towards the positive side, but I didn't see myself as like someone who would actively go out and listen to this. But yes, like Wait and Bleed and Spit It Out and like Vermilion, those are very, and The Devil and I, those are just like you said, they're good gym songs, but they have this like anger and like ferocity to them that I mean I wouldn't say it's not in any other band, but like it's very distinct because like you said they have those pop kind of structures and they add in different kind of elements of like you can kind of hear like early 2000s emo stuff, but
Yeah,
then you can also hear really good metal riffs and a lot of good instrumentation and craft
yeah.
and stuff like that.
Their guitar
Yeah,
players are fucking insane. Like
they are. Yeah,
it's difficult. I mean, obviously, a lot of guitars in this genre play difficult shit, and there's guitars that are more technical, I guess, in terms of like difficulty to play. But there's like Slipknot, they have like this classic like metal shred that is difficult to do. Um, but I think that's pretty paramount. But yeah, like the solos that they do are pretty difficult, but they're also very catchy. They're not just wanky, which is awesome to hear. But also for context too, the lead singer Corey Taylor had a really fucked up childhood, like having to move around, parents abusing him, a bunch of drug problems. Like he woke up in a dumpster, almost overdosing. And I think he was going through some like drinking problems on the first couple albums. So it's raw, visceral emotion from him on that one. So that's why it has a different kind of anger and frustration more than just like orchestrated to relieve stress.
yeah. I didn't really know too much about the actual members of the band. All I knew is that just they were from Idaho.
Iowa.
Oh, they're from Iowa.
Yeah.
Fuck, they're the same. Who the fuck cares? They're the same. No, I'm
Still
just
in the middle of
kidding.
nowhere, yeah.
No, dude, I think Iowa is the most irrelevant state.
That or Nebraska.
No, but like people know Nebraska for like corn and stuff like that. And I know everyone jokes about
The
Wyoming
whole
being the
Midwest is about corn.
no, but like Nebraska specifically has that though. And like Omaha, people know that.
Yeah,
But like Iowa, what the fuck do you know about Iowa? I have like literally I don't have the slightest idea
I know
of
they
what
have a
is
large
happening
state
there.
fair.
Oh, do they? Well,
Yeah.
that's great. Like I don't know what's going on over there right now. I've never met someone from there. It couldn't even exist. And I know that this is what everyone says about Wyoming, but at least people know Wyoming as the irrelevant state. So therefore it is relevant in that it is not relevant.
Well,
Do you
no,
see what I'm
though.
saying?
Wyoming has a lot of better, like, beautiful landscapes than Iowa does.
No, yes, and people don't take that into account. But you know, people joke about like, oh, Wyoming's like doesn't exist. It's a government conspiracy and stuff like that.
Yeah, same thing with Ohio and Australia.
Yeah, but like, I think that like it's really Iowa because like, how much does Iowa fucking come up in our daily conversation?
Never, unless you're talking about Slipknot.
Yeah, okay, that brings us back to Slipknot. Also, I loved the levity that I got on this playlist from like Vermilion Part Two and which was the one? I think it was that album. Let me see what the name of it is. Oh, All Hope Is Gone.
Hmm.
Which one was the song where he was just kind of saying he was basically like just being emo and like saying like how he's not with his girlfriend anymore or whatever.
Oh, the acoustic one, like the ballad song.
Yeah, which one was
That
that
was
one?
Snuff.
Yeah, that one was pretty nice.
Yeah, and that's I'm sure they've done other softer stuff, but I think that's it was crazy because that's the only song like that on that album. Oh, going back, I just remembered that music video is not Before I Forget, it's Duality. I'm a fucking idiot. Before I Forget is like them jamming in like a studio with their masks off, but the camera's down. Anyway, yeah. So Snuff is a good song. Also Dead Memories. I love Dead Memories. That's one of my favorites from them.
Dude, yeah, that was a good one. I really liked Orphan from the newest album.
Yes, that is a phenomenal song. I love the newest album, which is cool because I was expecting to not like it because I think this is the change of direction that they're going to go in. But the last album was they kind of brought back to the roots a little bit. That was a great song.
Yeah, I liked all three of the songs you recommended from that one, which are Spiders, Orphan, and Not Long for This World.
Yeah, Not Long for This
Um,
World has a really cool melodic kind of. I can't describe it. It kind of gives me a similar feeling that Tool does the way they construct a melody. It's something like they would do. It's like an extra added thing.
yeah, and it has this nice little like harmony to it.
Yeah, Spiders was
Yeah.
interesting because that's again they play with some different songs like that on the albums. I didn't pick this one, but there's one on the Subliminal Verses Volume 3. It's called The Virus of Life. It's a very creepy, eerie, slow building song, and I forgot to add it, but it also is kind of cool.
Mm.
It's creepier than Spiders.
Vermilion was kind of creepy in the beginning.
Yeah, I like Vermilion a lot. I think
Yeah.
again the lyrics of Vermilion are pretty intense too.
Yeah. They have some pretty hardcore lyrics.
Yeah, so I didn't play. Okay, so there's a lot of really heavy, like just I don't know if you'd like them at all with like very little. There's like almost no melody. Sometimes they're just super raw. And Iowa is a pretty raw album like that. And there's this. I don't know if I remember told you the song "Disaster Piece" where the one of the few for his opening lines is "I want to slit your throat and fuck the wound." It's like shit like that. Like they just put some gross shock value in there
Yeah.
for some reason.
I was expecting you to put that on this playlist, and I was like anticipating when I was like, oh,
No, like I
it's
said,
not in here.
I was trying to pick songs I thought you'd enjoy. I didn't just want to give you like their most raw shit. I wanted to pick like the stuff off of the early albums that had some melody to it.
Well, you don't necessarily need to like tailor it to me. I mean, you could just be like, hey, these are my favorite picks, and I want you to think of like, I want to hear what you think
Well,
about. I mean,
those
you
aren't
still picked like a good selection.
those really
I
aren't my
liked them.
favorite Slipknot songs. Like I can listen to them in the gym, but
Okay.
like these days I don't really listen to those ones anymore. I don't know. It's just how I favor them. Like I said, for me, Slipknot, I like the versatility and the stuff that they do. So yeah, the songs I picked you are like my favorites throughout the whole entire time I've been
I see.
listening to
Okay.
them.
Okay, I'm sorry because I understood that you were kind of like trying to make it more for me, but no, I understand now that
Well, it's both.
these were
Like every
well,
every
okay.
song that I played you is one that I really like, but there's also a lot more that I like as well. But I picked the ones that I thought you'd enjoy more. But every one I've recommended, I
I see.
love.
I must say, outside of like the album where with Left Behind, I think most of their album covers are terrible.
Yeah, they're kind of cringy.
Yeah, no, they look really bad. They look like something you edit in like Photoshop when you're like 12.
Yeah, the new one is kind of cool. I like that the way they did the
Yeah, that one's pretty good. And so is whatever album. Oh yeah, Iowa. That is a good album
yeah the
cover. I
goat.
like that. That
Um,
yeah. That reminds me of the goat from The Witch,
it was pretty
which
intense.
which I still haven't even seen that whole movie.
You haven't seen the whole movie?
No, because like I watched it when I was really young, and I was like this. I legitimately thought it was too scary, and I turned it off.
I'm surprised you even got through the dialogue of that fucking movie, talking in old English.
Oh, I love that. That's like probably the best part about it.
Oh, that's right. I forget you're a language guy.
Can you put it in like subtitles of like modern contemporary American English, or is that just not possible?
I don't know. I mean, unless I
I
wouldn't
mean,
recommend
I
it,
mean,
I
we
would try to learn something, but I don't know if it's an option.
well, right. I mean, I'm like we can basically understand it, but like still, it's like a little bit like what?
Yeah. I mean, I got the general premise, and they used a couple of words multiple times, so I kind of got the context clues eventually. But yeah, I I thought it was interesting. Just wrapping it up, is there any other songs that I recommended that we didn't talk about before we get too off topic?
Psychosocial is pretty cool.
I,
I liked that one.
so it might be Psychosocial, Devil and I. One of those two is their most popular. I can't. I don't know what if you look it up on YouTube, whatever the millions of views are, but one of those two I think is it.
Let me look at their Apple Music thing. Their most popular song, it says, is Duality,
Okay.
followed by Psychosocial, which is followed by The Devil and I.
Okay. It's interesting dualities first, but yeah, all three of those are
Yeah.
massive. Like everybody knows. And people forget, like they're a big band. Like they're fucking millions of people listen to
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, and also like the actual band itself, like there's what
There's,
one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Yeah, eight
no,
people
there's
in the
9 of them.
band. Oh shit,
Yeah.
man, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, so they, like I said, their bass player and drummer died, and then they kicked out one of their percussionists. So there's 3 new members currently to this date.
Man, and you said the music videos are really cool.
Yeah, I love the music videos, and I mean, they're people are like, oh, it's creepy, it's gore. It's really, it's not. It's just artistic, I guess.
Like for our standards,
Yeah, I guess for people that aren't into this kind of thing, I guess, but like objectively, not really.
like my mom.
Yeah, your mom would probably freak out.
Well, understandable, and more power to her.
Yeah,
And she's probably right.
but
Yeah. This is probably like the heaviest music I could listen to. This and Gojira. I don't really think I could go past this.
it
Because past this, it just like the line breaks and it's just annoying.
it's interesting because those two bands are like those kind of bridge the gap for this genre because a lot of people that aren't into heavier music like those two bands if they're gonna like any at all, which is interesting.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because like I'm not into. I'm trying to give like an example of like a. Do you know the band? They're like Laura Shorn or whatever the fuck. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, Lorna Shore, I think is her name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what band I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that core genre or the hardcore
Yeah.
beatdown or deathcore or whatever the fuck you want to call it. I always thought it was just kind of lazy, but the
Yeah,
guy
no, that shit is nothing, man.
that guy is
I
talented though. Like to do the sounds that he's doing is pretty intense. Like I watched a YouTube video of like they put a camera in his throat to kind of see the sounds and shapes of his throat while he's doing it. It's pretty fucking intense, but I don't like personally like how it sounds, but I've never been a fan of that genre. It just bores me.
Lorna Shore is the name.
Yeah.
Well, that album cover where To the Hellfire is on is really fucking eerie.
Yeah, and like there's some riffs that are really cool, but like I don't like the way core is structured. I just don't.
No, and it's just like it's just kind of overboard for me. I'm like the line was written, but then you broke it, like it snapped, and it just hits you in the face really hard, and it stings, and it's like it's not a good sting, you know.
Yeah. Or would you say I can't remember it felt soulless to you or something like that? What you said earlier.
Yeah, that's how I put it because like even when I listen to this, like this Slipknot music, it's still like I said, like I can imagine listening to this in the gym and this is just like fueling this like it's good rage music, you know? Like if some shit just happened to you and you just need to like just go fucking punch a punching bag, like yeah, this is the music to do it to. You know? And that still like makes me just want to like, just do it and like, like do it well. But when I'm listening to like music like Lorna Shore and other stuff like that, it just kind of just makes me feel like bleh. I'm like, yeah, whatever.
And I honestly think that's just the lack of melody because you can even like if it's just a guitar riff and like your screamer is just gonna do like the cut and dry Cookie Monster growling without any sort of emotion, just that like you even get like a sense of it. So I think like when your music lacks that sort of melody, and not to say obviously you could technically consider a lot of things melody, it's just the way that it's presented, and a lot of elements of that genre and genres like it, they are more focused on just like the heaviness of the riff, or like they put a bunch of different like unique sounds where it's like weird high pitched noises, screeches, slides, pinch harmonics, weird effects, whatever you call it. It's more of like just like something you just stomp around to, you feel, more than like getting a different emotion besides just letting out anger or stress or calming you down or whatever. So I think it's the lack of like structured melody, I should say, with the song.
Yeah, which is what Slipknot has. And I must say, the slides and all of like that and all that stuff they were doing, that was awesome.
Yeah, they cover all the techniques a lot, and that's the thing that's why a lot of their shit's difficult. And also, their guitar players are massive. Their fucking hands are huge. So it's like some of the chords and some of the stuff that they can
Oh,
do. It's. I mean, I don't have super small. Well, I guess I have medium to large size hands, so it's like there's not a lot of things that give me trouble in that way. But even sometimes with those, I was like, fuck, dude, I can't bend my hands this way.
dude, I wonder how much that like aids you in like strength training of just like of having just like meaty bare hands.
I mean, it just depends on what you're doing and how much skill you have. Honestly, it's the way your fingers bend. So there's a lot of stuff that's really difficult for me that most other people might not find super challenging just because like my fingers aren't like I don't I've been playing guitar forever, but I can't really bend them independently too well. I don't know why. Like I don't really have good motor control over my body. Obviously, from like me talking or doing things or coordination, like I feel like I don't have total control over my body, but there's specific
That's
chords I can't do because my fingers just don't bend that way. Especially my ring finger is the most like weak. I've tried to train it for years and it's just still just, doing a chord, having to hold my ring finger in a specific way. It just doesn't want to do it. That's why I'm more riffy than chordy.
for me. I can't do the pinky without doing the ring finger.
Yeah, and that's a common thing, and like I said, I struggle with that too. And some people can kind of strength train it out. I've tried, but it's just still a problem. It does get a little bit easier, and also like the style of music. So like playing flamenco or jazz, you're gonna do a lot more chords that require that. So I think just practicing that, it'll just eventually get easier.
Yeah, man, that's where I suck in regards to flamenco. I have this book that Ryan, for those who don't know, my old teacher who worked at the store that Jason works at, he had me buy this book a long time ago with flamenco lessons in it, and I'm actually like going back into it and doing stuff that I can do now that I wouldn't have been able to, or I just would have been turned off by back then. And I've been learning some cool stuff. I learned this new technique called soleas. It's a really cool kind of galloping sound. Like it's an arpeggio followed by a sort of what is it called? Like when you do like a do, you know?
Like staccato?
No, well, no, that's like kind of the. Is it more like a you know what I'm talking about? Like how would you describe like the? It's not staccato. The staccato is more like a style of like a. Nah, fuck. I don't know how to describe it.
I just from you mouthing it, I don't know. I'm also not really big on the theory side of things. I know like basic terms, and that's pretty much it.
Right. I mean, if I showed it to you, you'd be like, "Oh, that."
Probably.
Yeah. Well, it's a very cool sound, and I'm continuing to learn more stuff in it. But a lot of the shit is actually like really hard.
No, and it takes dedication and practice and time and frustration to get
Yeah,
through
but
it.
it's really cool though because my book comes with a code where you can access this like online thing where the um it gives you all of the tracks that are in the book and you can listen to them and you could also change the pitch of it. You can change like the speed of it without it actually changing the pitch of the note, which is very cool. And there's all these other different features you could do with it.
Yeah, and using like visuals and video learning or any sort of online help is always great. And I I don't remember. So like when I was learning as a beginner, I never really practiced the CDs. I've always just wanted how to learn how to play songs. So I would just go like find the online tabs or watch a YouTube video and hear it in real time and practice to a metronome. So that's kind of where I started.
Yeah. Oh yeah, my book has tabs in it too, which is very nice.
Yeah. I mean, people go back and forth whether or not you should learn tabs or musical notation. Obviously, musical notation is the more useful, but tabs are easier. So
My tabs are they're very convenient.
Plus like you can still be a really boring musician and you know all the theory, so it's really only useful if you're composing a song or if you're like in a jam setting where you need to just jump in and not have to fiddle around with the notes. You just automatically know what to do. But I think sometimes it can kind of stifle creativity, but on the other hand it also really enhances it when you get stuck doing the same thing over and over again and you don't know how to branch out past what you already know. So that's why it's interesting to put your focus into really mastering both sides of the music theory and also just like the technique and just really trying to focus on creativity or doing things that are technically outside the box or maybe a little bit sharp or flat.
Well, yeah, it's like cooking. You got to start out with like basic recipes first,
Yeah.
and then you can get cool with it, and do random little fun tricks and stuff here and there to like spice it up.
Yeah, I think it's past just learning foundation things, but also it just depends on
Yeah, because I'm
what you
telling
know
you,
and what you can do.
everyone. Yeah, sorry. Um, everyone wants the spice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. What's the secret
Everyone
sauce?
wants. Yes, everyone wants the sauce, the spice, like the electricity and whatever stuff. Like, I'm still barely there, guys. And like, I mean, I don't know if you listened to like I I did uh an improvisation and I posted it to my channel. I don't know if you listened to it.
Is it the most recent one you just did?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Oh, what'd you think of it?
I liked it. Like I said, I can see the progression that you're making, and I also like the style, and you're kind of moving in to more of the like easing into the notes and like getting the feel of the vibrato and more of the technique down, as opposed to just like playing the song.
Yeah, or just touching the note, or like just I'm gonna play this note. It's like there is a certain, because like the music you're playing gives a lot, and like the way in which you play it gives a lot about what you actually feel about playing your music, because you can tell if someone is playing their instrument and they love it, like it's just their passion, as opposed to someone who's just doing it because like their parents are making them do it.
That or people that do it just because they want to make money, or like they're really about
Right.
branding and networking, and they're just faking smiles and friendships just to advance their career. So I mean, it's pretty. I mean, I wouldn't say all of the time, but most of the time it's pretty obvious when somebody is just I mean, you can tell it's not honest in the music. Like you can tell it's not a real emotion. It's just very forced, and a lot of boomers that play blues music is like that. Like you can tell they really overdo it with the
Yeah.
faces and the bends, and like, oh, they really want people to know that they're feeling the music, air quotes. So a lot of it can get kind of stupid, but
When it's like I'm playing the pentatonic scale and I do slides,
yeah,
I'm cool.
yeah, it's the
And
common joke.
I'm guilty of that, but like in certain contexts, for people that like don't listen to music as much as we do, like they think it does sound really cool.
I mean, it does sound cool, but like you can tell like the difference between the people that actually feel something from it, make a cool sound, as opposed to people that just force that. Because like there's a lot of people that want to force that reaction out of people or out of themselves. So whether they're doing
Yeah,
it
because they're like,
knowingly or not, it
mhm.
still happens.
Yes, it's the spice that is not deserved, or it's not earned, I guess.
Yeah, you got to go through the trial. You can't just start off like guitar face. Like you got to work into that.
Yeah, because it's like, number one, you didn't actually create anything interesting, and number two, yeah, like you said, you didn't put in work to like actually be able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of made a face in the video when I was playing, but I didn't really think it was that like overt that I was like making a face. I mean, I made the face just because I was having a lot of fun and I was enjoying what I was playing.
Right, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people that literally try to do it every note, like every note's giving them that feeling. It's like,
I'm trying to think of a song where that is the case, where like every note is just like, ooh, yes.
well, I mean, not like note for note. Obviously, if you're doing a slow, vibey, feely type of solo where you're just really letting notes ring out, or you're doing a bend or just something that sustains a lot, or like obviously, like that's kind of more of what I mean. Not like you're just moving your face to the different. I mean, some people do that, but I don't know.
Right.
Like for me, like
The-
I'm very stone cold when I play. Like there's a couple times where like I'll like scrunch my face if I'm playing something heavy, but most of the time I just kind of sway with it. I don't really change my face at all.
Oh yeah, you look like you're in like meditation when
Yeah,
you play.
because
Like
I'm
you're
so
just you have like
focused. I don't know if I've ever
right.
told you, like I am not comfortable when I play. Like I'm always in a state of uncomfort because I'm really focusing hard on what I'm trying to do. So it looks like I'm meditating, but I'm actually really fucking focused, and like it sucks because there's times where I just want to fucking vibe out and
That's what
relax.
meditation is.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel meditative to me. Like I said, it's
All
like
right, it doesn't feel like you're released like the you don't have the release. It's
yeah.
like this kind of like stressful
Yeah,
is in a way.
because if I don't, it's annoying because if I don't focus, then I fuck up a lot. Like I can't just sit there and relax and play. I've always just had to really focus on what I'm doing. It's irritating.
Yeah.
But
Do you think boomers are the worst generation of musicians?
no, I don't think anybody's the worst generation of musicians. I think that because there's a lot of, I mean, just from working in a store, I can tell you it doesn't matter how old you are. Like you can either suck or be great. It doesn't matter. I think that a lot of people that are boomers think that they don't have to really like they think they like whatever style of music they're going to play, that's it, and they don't need to learn anything more. So if they're really good at one specific style, that's the only thing they're going to stick with, so they don't really branch out. But I mean, if you're talking about like famous bands or famous musicians, no. But if like random people that play or like try to make YouTube demos, then yeah. But I don't consider like, I mean, I hate 80s music, so if there's a generation of music I can't stand, it's the fucking 80s.
There's some good '80s music, dude.
Yeah, but
Well, I mean, I know what you mean, like that cheesy kind of
yeah, it's
like
the
embellished '80s style,
yeah,
and like
that's
the
yeah,
weird techno stuff that just doesn't sound like it's just hasn't dated well. I'm sorry, it hasn't aged well at all.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Like it's aged like moldy cheese, unlike fine wine.
Yeah, I mean it's super dated and it's I don't know,
In some contexts, it works. Um, like that song from Top Gun by Kenny Loggins, I think is pretty good.
I do like Danger Zone. I'm not gonna lie.
Danger Zone is yeah, Danger Zone's
Danger
badass.
Zone.
So like Iron Maiden.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think more of like White Snake or Guns N' Roses or just really shitty ballads, like stuff like
Like
that.
Guns N' Roses.
I no, I don't. I really don't.
Really?
It's just I don't know if it's just because I hate Axl Rose or I hate that high pitched singing. Like obviously, like the guitar riffs are nice. I think they're overplayed, so that's why it annoys me now. But I don't think they're bad at all, and I think those stand the test of time. But I just think I hate that high pitched voice, like
Oh yeah,
AC/DC,
okay.
Judas Priest. I do like Iron Maiden, even though they do the similar kind of thing, but I think they do it very skillfully. It's different. It sounds different to me, but yeah, I can't stand Guns N' Roses, and I also can't stand them as people too.
I know nothing about them as people,
They're
but
just well,
no, but
yeah.
the Guns N' Roses surprised me because like when I think Guns N' Roses, I don't think '80s because like they just don't seem like an '80s. They seem more of like a '70s band, honestly.
Well, they have specific songs, so it's like there's a lot of albums that they've had in the '80s that kind of fall to that trap, and obviously they made music
Oh,
so
okay.
and so. It was just of that era of them.
I think I've only listened to like their first two albums.
I don't know. Like I've
Yeah. So I wouldn't know about like their later stuff. But like when I think of the '80s, I think of like Van Halen and all that stuff.
Van Halen. So again, I like Van Halen a lot. I cannot stand David Lee Roth. The funniest video I
Oh,
ever watched is if you watch like have you ever seen isolated tracks? Like if you go on YouTube and type in like vocal isolated track or bass or guitar or whatever for a specific song, you can hear it.
I've never really listened to them, but yeah, sure, I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
so like the ones for Tool are pretty cool because you can hear all the effects and just like the specific vocals. But I listened to
Yeah, that I would want to check out.
yeah, you should check out that one. But Running with the Devil,
Definitely.
they did an isolated vocal track too, and it's just so fucking cheesy. Oh my god, especially like the little like ah yeah yeah, like all the little fucking high pitched shit that he does is just so funny.
Yeah, they're fine. They have a couple songs that are kind of catchy.
Yeah, Huffer Teacher is good. I like that song.
I don't know what that is.
The one with the really cool drum intro. That
Oh,
one.
it's a song. Yeah, okay. I thought you were talking about a band. I was like,
no, the
never
song,
heard of him.
Huffer Teacher.
Oh no, actually no. The best '80s band, if you can call them an '80s band, is Metallica. Like, there's no fucking debate about that. Like them or Megadeth.
Yeah.
If you count them as like an '80s band, because I know they span like a lot of decades.
In the world of metal, yeah, like the 80s was, I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah,
thrash metal is so fucking cool.
yeah.
I love thrash metal.
I just think it's funny he got
Um,
killed by grunge.
I know, like, what the fuck happened with that?
I mean, it's just people get bored,
Nirvana,
want
man.
something different, and then that's what becomes a new trend.
The fucking hipsters, man. And
But yes,
yeah,
so
me and you have the same opinion about Nirvana.
I there's I'm not gonna lie. There's a couple songs that I've gone back and listened to that I actually really like, but I only like really their slower stuff. Honestly, like
Hmm.
their songs to me, like I don't know, like they don't completely follow that same thing that punk does. That irritates me. That it's just about the attitude and the message, but it doesn't have to transfer into the music. But obviously, Nirvana has catchy songs that they don't like suck, but they're just. I think it's the fact that it's just overplayed. But a lot of their slower stuff I like a lot.
Yeah, they're a really weird band to categorize because like they're not really. I mean, they're kind of grunge, but then at the same time, like they're kind of punk, and at the same time, they're kind of just soft rock. It's really interesting. I mean, I don't completely just write them off. I still think they're worth checking out.
I think the
But
punk influence is mainly from Dave Grohl because people forget that he grew up around here and he was big in like the DC punk scene.
yeah, I remember you telling me that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when I was listening to like their soft rock stuff and their slow stuff, I just thought this was like the like worst Beatles, honestly.
I can't stand the Beatles. I don't know what it is.
You can't stand them? I thought you just like were like, yeah, they're fine.
No, I mean, I don't know. It's,
Really? I like the Beatles. Beatles are good. Like it's I mean, I know you probably think that I'm just saying that cuz it's like the popular opinion, but I'm like, no,
no, if you
I
like them, you like them. I don't care if you.
no, I do. No, okay. Do I think they're the greatest band ever? No. But
I don't understand why they were so polarizing for their time. Because like I feel like it was very similar to other music that was out. Maybe like I don't know. Not so
well, I
much
mean,
music that was out, but like it had like a very like how do I explain it? It's I don't get why they
what
were such a fangirling band. I guess I should say.
well in the beginning it made sense cuz their songs were just kind of like, fun, like just kind of dancing and like just talking about how much I love you and stuff like that. It was really simple. So like in that regard, it makes sense. But by the time you get to like Abbey Road, that doesn't really feel like it's like a boy band, and like there's a lot more like sophistication to that as opposed to like the early stuff. Right? I'm not saying that the early stuff is bad, but I think Abbey Road is just fucking excellent. I love that album.
I think it just comes down to like the songs are obviously solid, otherwise they wouldn't have gotten the critical acclaim. Like I think it's a stretch to call them overrated because of the era that they were popular in. I think now if people listen to them now and think they're the greatest thing still, then it's just like okay, kind of expand your horizons a little bit. But for their time,
Yeah.
I like I said, it's well polished. The songs aren't bad. I don't know. I just don't connect with them at all.
They also have a lot of music.
They do.
Like they have a lot of albums, yeah.
Yeah.
Which there's still so much of them I haven't even listened to.
I think my favorite song to torture my dad to because he doesn't like well I don't know if he doesn't like the Beatles or if he just tolerates them, but he hates the Yellow Submarine song.
Okay, now I don't even really like that one that much.
It's awful, but it's fun to fuck
I
with people
yeah.
with.
I love Penny Lane. That might be my favorite Beatles song.
Penny Lane.
It's so pretty. It's like mystical. It's just I don't like it. It's so hard to describe. I love the words. Um, yeah,
Yeah, Penny Lane was good. The other
Penny
one
Lane.
I
Yeah,
don't like from them is Hey Jude. I don't like that at all.
I like that one.
Come
But I
Together
can
is
see why
nice.
you
I like Come
don't.
Together.
Yeah, that's a good one. I love Here Comes the Sun.
So I, it's weird. I there's times where that song irritates me, and there's times I like that song, and I think I only like that song. I'll go to like the beach and somebody's busking on the street playing it. I really like it in that context, but I just if I'm like at the store or if I'm just out somewhere and I hear that song, it just irritates. It's one of those things where it's like a really happy sounding song just makes you fucking irate in the right mood.
Dude, I was gonna add to the situations when I'm having sex.
You like that song, Having Sex?
Well, I don't know because I have no experience with that, and I don't want any experience with
Dude,
that.
I'm
So,
just
yeah.
I'm losing my fucking mind. Like, you're gonna lose your virginity. Like, hold on, let me put on a song real quick. And it's gonna be Here Comes the Fucking Sun.
No, what? What did you? I didn't say that. No.
That's what you implied. You brought it up in that context, and you're like, well, I've never had it, so I don't know. Don't fucking trump me. You know what you're talking about.
I didn't say that I would want "Here Comes the Sun" to be playing. I was saying that as like a joke that like you would want that playing.
I would not want that playing.
See, that was the joke. I
No,
was like, that's
that's forever
Jason's
gonna be the
number
song
one
you lose
pick.
your virginity to. I'm sorry.
That's great. Why couldn't it have been like something cool? Well, no, that is a cool song, but like cool in the sense that like yeah, you know what I'm talking
So, whenever you get married and it's the right time, what is the song you want to lose your virginity to?
about. I don't know because I'm not thinking about that.
That's what I'm telling you. Think about it right now
It. Why does it matter?
because it's interesting.
Why?
Because you're so reluctant to answer. That's why it's interesting.
I don't know.
You can't think of. There's
Well,
no way you don't think of any song. Like you don't look forward to it, like getting married and being able to do that. You don't like long for that at all. Well, not I guess not long
it
for it, but like look forward to it.
does there have to be music? I don't know.
There doesn't have to be, but it's a great mood enhancer as opposed to you just both y'all just awkwardly panting or making noises because none of y'all have done it before. You know, it might make
Yeah.
things more enjoyable.
Yeah, shut up, dude. Jason is bullying me right now.
I'm just asking you, in the eyes of God, when it's legal, what song you'd play. I don't see what's the big problem with that.
I don't know. Well, back in the day, you didn't have any music to play, so you'd have to play it yourself.
You probably hired musicians to do it. Why?
I mean, if you were rich, you could probably do that.
I would take that job. I'm not gonna lie.
Like to the you're going to Versailles, like for King Louis. Like, yep, I'm here to play your song, Your Majesty.
Hell yeah, dude. That's in the history books. You kidding me? You fucking play the lute
Oh
while
yeah,
King Louis is getting sucked. Like, dude, that's awesome.
dude. I remember King Louis would pay someone to wipe his ass.
Really?
Yeah, no, he had like a job for like everything, for someone to do like everything for him.
So this probably
You know?
isn't too far from the realm of possibility then.
Yes. I don't know if he would have someone play music for him in that context, but he would obviously hire people to play music. Like people would hire people to clean him, bathe him, wipe him.
Stupid. Fucking.
That is so weird to think about how like he was like the only person who would wipe. You know, like back in the day, the king was the only one who'd wipe.
I wonder
There's
what
like
they
no
wiped with.
fucking
Probably linen.
yeah. How the fuck? What would you and like? Where would you put it? Where would you? Why not?
Have some fucking woman take it down to the river and start scrubbing.
I mean, yeah. If you see like, I remember like in my textbook for like West Civ, you saw like it was like a picture of like a random like European city ecosystem and how there was like obviously like on our based on our standards there was like absolutely no regard to like um for anything being like sanitary, right? So it's like someone's just like pissing and then like 5 feet away the woman's just like getting the water out of
I can't imagine what it smelled like back then.
oh no, but also I'm trying to imagine how awful they'd think it smelled now, just because how much stuff they wouldn't be used to, and like the perfumes and deodorants and fresheners and all that stuff. They'd probably like be like, "Oh, what did y'all do?"
I'm sure that's easier to get used to than us going back in time for fucking
Oh
sure.
no, yeah. Don't get me wrong, but it would just be interesting to see the other side.
Dude, it was crazy when I was in a lot of parts of the Mediterranean. I was walking down streets that are older and they had more medieval style buildings, and there was people that were like leaning out their second story window just looking at the crowd. I just kept thinking about how they used to like dump shit in the streets from a bucket. So like I just was like looking up, like for some reason expecting that to happen for God knows why.
In 20 whatever you were
Yeah,
there.
dude, I was like, what the fuck?
No, man. Out of all of the cool things that Europeans still do, that is not one of them.
God, the fucking plague. Um
Yeah, that was some serious shit, dude. I'm glad we don't have that.
People tried to make it that way with COVID, but obviously we're
Yeah,
starting to not
no,
give a shit about that now.
no, and like obviously we did like go through some stuff with COVID, but it was not the Black Plague.
It was pretty bad in the beginning, and I remember I didn't know
Yeah,
because I was actually obviously before the as time went on, you could just tell the media was milking the shit out of it. But back when it first started, I was like, "Fuck, how bad is this gonna get? It's gonna be like a lot of people dying. Is this gonna crash our economy? Everybody starts rioting. Like I didn't know what the fuck was gonna happen." But I don't know.
yeah.
I guess
I
the newest
was,
thing is
I was.
monkeypox.
What the fuck
You ever heard of
is that?
monkeypox? It's like a variation of
What happened
smallpox,
to
I think.
chickenpox?
A lot of it's been eradicated. We have a vaccine for it.
Oh yeah, no, I know like no one really gets it
You're
anymore.
probably vaccinated from it, honestly.
Oh no, I definitely probably am.
I think it's just a
Same
very
with like the like polio and all that stuff. Like those like are actually like you need that.
yeah, that and measles and a bunch of other shit.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. Like I think I know they added COVID to the list of the vaccines like that are required, which I think is just it's retarded. But
Because it doesn't
like to
really.
go,
It's so short too. It's like I haven't looked in a minute, but I think it was like what a 6 month waning period or something if you didn't get your boosters, and then after that, I don't know how long you have. Like it doesn't last for years like the other vaccines do. Because I know like a tetanus shot I think is like a 10-year thing, and the
well,
chickenpox is
yeah,
permanent. And then also I think since you're also 19, I think you probably have the HPV vaccine too. So
well, well, I don't know about that, but that's the thing because like those vaccines were all like developed over like a long time, and obviously got really good at that. But with this, the reason why I was like, it's like for anyone who's gonna tell me that I'm someone who watches Fox
here we
News
go.
and is like, I'm like, guys,
Get your popcorn.
I I was like, guys, I'm just kind of like skeptic because this shit was developed like I don't need like not even like in a year. So I'm like, okay, I this kind of makes me feel uncomfortable. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know if you agree with me. I don't know if you got it, but
So I mean,
um,
I mean, I didn't, I have vaccines in me, and I mean, I could just sense that whenever the government really, really wants you to do something, you probably should do the exact opposite.
yeah, I saw this meme where it was um, what was it called? No, The Walking Dead, and it was like the one guy surrounded by like all the zombies is like me in a year when I'm the only one who didn't get the vaccine.
Yeah, I mean, the way I looked at it was in the beginning, it was bad, right? So, but I think I'm asymptomatic. Like I've been around people have had COVID. My girlfriend's had COVID, and I don't get
I
any
just
symptoms
got
from
it.
it. You just got it.
Well, no, I don't have it anymore, but
Uh,
like I had it like the Thursday before last.
Did it feel like a regular sickness to you, or was it kind of amplified, or did you lose sight or lose sight? Jesus, lose taste and smell.
I never lost taste and smell. I did feel kind of like the joint stuff that people talked about, but
Uh,
I only felt that for like a day, and then the rest of my sickness was just like I was like I had a really sore throat, and I had a fever, and that was it.
yeah,
All of the COVID like related symptoms that was gone in like a day. I mean, I'm sure like the other stuff was probably still connected to that,
yeah,
but yeah.
yeah. I'm like I said, I've been asymptomatic from it, so. And I think in the beginning they were like people that don't have symptoms are less likely to spread it, and also like wearing your mask. Like I'll wear a mask wherever. I don't really give a shit about masks or keeping sanitary, washing your hands all the time. That's all well and good. I was just freaked out because I don't even trust them in the stuff they put in the food and water. And I'm not gonna sit here and make claims because I have no idea. For me, I was hesitant and didn't get it because it just has been too new, and I just don't know, like there's no long-term data, and people saying, oh well, they've developed these kind of vaccines for a long time. Fair enough, but this one was rush implemented, so I don't know. I mean, obviously millions of people have got it, and there's millions of claims of people saying there's complications of this vaccine. I don't know how, like there's so much fear mongering on both sides. I don't pay attention to it. I just didn't get it because medical stuff just freaks me out, so like I just didn't want to take a new vaccine. And like I said, the fact that I'm
Right.
asymptomatic to it, and also the fact that the strain that we have now is less deadly, I guess. I don't know, and it's kind of making sort of a comeback, but it's also dying, and also the media is not caring too much anymore. They've lifted vaccine requirements to fly internationally now, and most venues are taking it off their list because I don't think. That to me screams they don't want the liability in case this does have a problem. So
Yeah, which I'm glad they fucking realized that
yeah,
is like because that's literally fucking crimes against
I can
humanity.
imagine if this, like I said, there's a bunch of people making claims. I have no idea. I'm not making any claims whatsoever if this is harmful or not. I'm just nervous to take it, and that's why I didn't take it. And also,
Yeah, no,
yeah,
I'm not trying to like pull up some study or like cherry pick something about, hey, look, this person who had got the vaccine died, or this person got this thing from the vaccine. And so I'm just like, I'm just kind of, I'm just kind of cautious, and it just,
yeah.
it kind of freaks me out. I just don't want to take it. I'm
I,
sorry.
well, too, like it's also like people think it's so fucking black and white. Like I think you can trust science and also realize that pharmaceutical companies push out harmful drugs and they don't have any repercussions.
Well, right,
Especially
and
like the
like,
opioid crisis. That's like the number one reason. Also, like the FDA has no fucking credibility anymore because it's
yeah,
proven they've
exactly.
had people fucking on their goddamn special interest hit list. Like they just get bought off and they can make claims and like use different words and loopholes to like not actually have any validation for it. So it's like just the way the system runs is hard to trust. But obviously, you know, millions of advances in, you know, cancer detecting and killing technology and all sorts of other shit. You know, it's just I don't know. Like I'm not a fucking medical person, so I'm not gonna sit here and make claims, but I don't think it's
And
necessary for me. And if the majority of people are vaccinated, they don't gotta worry about it. And if it's true that people that are vaccinated and are asymptomatic don't spread it as much, then fair enough. I don't really care.
right, that's a good way to put it. I just was like, you know what? I mean, in a similar way that you said, I was like, all right, here where we live, for reference, guys, like all of this like virus stuff is essentially like it's not even here anymore. Um,
It's hard to
there's you're
trust
not
the
required
numbers.
to,
Like who fucking knows?
right, and so like, well, and also all of that like fear mongering about like, oh, you're gonna need to like have a vaccination card to like get into restaurants, all that stuff. Like you said, they stopped doing that after like a few
It's
months,
because
and
it's not
so
sustainable. Businesses really don't want to do that. They don't want to
exactly,
alienate one
yeah.
side of their fucking clientele. And if it really was about being safe, the fact that we had to take a fucking mask and then walk to a table just to take it off and then sit in a room, like it was
I know. I
so
was
fucking
fucking
stupid.
pissing my pants at how fucking funny that was.
God, so it's like it's not even like the safety measures that we put in place were even fucking like. I think the lockdown was smart. I think making everybody stay home until we figure this out was good, right? So that probably
Yeah,
saved a lot of
we got
lives.
a yeah, and we got a good, nice like kind of recession out of it. Like people were home
Oh,
with their
buddy,
families
that's
more,
not even
and well,
good.
not for everyone. I know, not for everyone, because not everyone lives in the household I
No, what
do.
I'm gonna saying is like the recession that's coming up. Okay, people are predicting like fucking depression more than a recession.
Oh, well, I know that,
God,
but
I hope that's not the case. But fuck, man, if it's I mean, if gas goes to fucking $10 nationally, and it's already creeping around five. I've seen gas for 5.09 here, and it's just gonna keep getting worse. Like it's gonna fucking severely do some damage.
yeah,
Not saying it will never
well,
reset because obviously it's gonna fucking have to, but it's gonna
oh yeah,
suck for a
it can
while.
reset. Yeah, it can reset.
But ugh, don't even want to get
Yep.
into that fucking. That just worries me so much about how shit's. Ugh, I don't want to go there, but no, I don't
Yeah.
know. I think it's fine. And like I said, the fact that everybody is like, I think requiring it so early on was a mistake. And not like I said, like if you really wanted to get it, and if you had people that were immunocompromised, and that was the way to do it, then sure. But I think that making everybody do it, they realized it was a mistake because especially for concerts, like I could see like they're doing like ID and vaccine check, and they just like scratched that off and ripped that down. Like this, they wanted to backtrack super heavily, and
Yeah.
but I'm glad now because I never, it really wasn't a problem because like not too many places in where we live required it. There were some in Richmond, but most of the ones in Richmond were like specific bars that had a very political standpoint that like most people wouldn't want to go to anyway. And some like venues had it, but all the concerts I went to, you could either have like a negative COVID test or proof of vaccination. So I would just get like a negative COVID test.
Yeah, that's all I needed to go to Brazil
Yeah.
was just a negative COVID test.
Which, how accurate those are, who fucking knows? But if it gets you somewhere and they're not worried about
Yeah.
it, why not?
It's Walgreens, dude. You trust Walgreens, don't you?
Yeah, they handed it to me through the drive-through. It was like I was ordering a sandwich. They gave me my COVID test through the fucking slot.
Yeah. Okay. So I didn't even drive. Right. I didn't even have a car. So I asked them like before. I was like, can I just do it right here? Because like I don't have like I'm not driving here. I'm just walking here. And they're like, no, you have to like go in the drive-through. And I'm like, so I'm just gonna like walk up to like the window
Yeah, they
in
were
the
very
drive-through, and they're
weird
like,
about scheduling appointments and doing it very specifically.
yeah,
It's like all it is, you're just swabbing a fucking thing up your nose and handing it back to them. It's like you just got to make sure you don't
yes,
fuck it up and cross contaminate things. It's not that hard.
yeah. But I'm like, that's like literally the equivalent of like I don't have a car to go to the drive-through, so I'm just gonna go and eat inside. Like you don't order food
Yeah.
at the fucking window when you like you just walk up to it. That's not how it works.
CVS had like a fucking trailer. It looked like something like like the UN or FEMA would do or some shit. It's like a little shack that they made as a mobile COVID station. Dude, so like the first time I got one, I went to the hospital, not going to the hospital, like they were doing them at the hospital, and like back when they first were started doing it, it was like the long ass ones that would like poke your brainstem and like they would swirl it in your nose like they're
Ah,
scrambling eggs or some shit. That one hurt, but the all the rest
oh,
I've taken
yeah,
it like I just got to do it myself.
yeah. Those like self COVID tests you can buy are they're pretty nice.
Yeah, I don't know how accurate those ones are, but I administered one.
Yeah, those are probably you can imagine are probably not as accurate because
Well, like, I
they're
mean,
not.
if you're not a trained professional, and I say that loosely, but like, there's a lot of shit you can fuck up. You accidentally like touch it or breeze it against something, or I could even say if you have a lot of dust in your air or something, like, it's easy to fuck up, and then it's a chemical reaction. So if you don't do it right, then it'll give you a false negative, or I guess inversely,
Right.
sometimes a false positive. I don't know. Who fucking
Yeah, no,
knows?
no, but also it's just like something that's like it's made available to everyone, so it's gonna be like rationed, and so the equipment obviously is probably not gonna be as good.
Yeah.
I'm just making a guess. I don't really know.
I don't know. I just the fact that it got really heavy politicized was an indicator to me. I'm gonna wait this out because if COVID becomes such a
Me
problem
too.
where it's like there's like a massive strain that like will affect me, and the vaccine's been out for 2 years or so. So if obviously it's not enough for long term. So like I don't know if it'll take 10 years or whatever the fuck, right? But
Yeah.
I don't know. Like there's the thing I don't like about stuff like this is like the fact that like I said, the mainstream, and I've mentioned this before, like how the mainstream narrative is so shitty that it just the only thing that fills the gaps are these conspiracy theories or these like scam artists trying to sell you some bullshit product that probably is worse for you. So it's like there's people that fill in the gaps with these theories that also aren't true, and it just does more damage. So it's like that's the one thing I can't stand is like listening to both sides. And it's like it's not even about like who should I trust and figure out. It's just like you don't trust any of them. Like nobody has the right answer. So hopefully this thing doesn't affect me. So I guess I'm lucky that I'm asymptomatic, and if I wasn't, I probably would consider it. But for COVID, I don't think I'm ever gonna get it because it's not gonna be a problem for me.
Right. Dude, I just wish that just makes me wish that the whole entire just like mainstream media just like didn't exist. And especially for 24 hours it is so fucking annoying.
It
Like
never
back
used
in
to
the
be
day
that
I
way
know
too.
yeah, like I know back in the day, not just on news, but like all television stopped I think at like 10 or something like that.
Yeah, like 10 midnight
Like
somewhere around there. I don't know.
yeah, and it wouldn't start up until like 5 in the morning or something. But I mean, I know it's different now cuz these not everything is like live and you could just kind of stream things, but because I mean, based on our standards now, like if you tried to like, the only way to get back to that would just to be like, oh well, you have to like get rid of like Wi-Fi connection. You have to get rid of like electricity for like this amount of time, and like no one's gonna want to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand why.
I don't know. I think just like being spoon fed bullshit just fuels this contrarian just echo chamber of nonsense that we're in right now. And yeah, I mean,
That's
I hear
yeah,
people say all the time, like, oh, the news is so biased now. It's like we've never had fucking like partial journal or impartial journalism unless it's been like independent journalists or people that have gotten
has been.
murdered for it, you know?
Yeah, like the people who would cover like mafia stories, the mafia would just kill them.
Yeah, or like any government scandal or a new technology that would put industries out of business, like stuff like that. Or like, blaming
Yeah,
the main or
but
blaming the main on Spain. Fucking since
what
we're like it's just we've never had unbiased journalism nationally in
do
this
you mean
country.
blaming the world on Spain?
Blaming the
Huh?
main on Spain. They for World War I, there was a ship that sunk. I don't remember. It's been so fucking long, but we basically like blamed Spain for the sinking of the ship, but it wasn't true.
Oh, the Lusitania?
I think I like I said, it's been forever since I've taken history, but I mean that was a popular head.
Yeah. Okay.
Like
I didn't
it's
know that
never been
we.
partial.
Yeah, I didn't know that we blamed Spain for that.
You never heard
Oh,
that headline? Blame the main on Spain.
I don't know. I might have. Oh, so like the name of the ship, the USS Lusitania. Did you know that Lusitania was the region of modern Portugal? It was the name given to it by the Roman Empire.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it was Hispania was obviously the region known as Spain now, and then right next to it to the left was Lusitania. So that's why when you hear, so like there's like the Anglosphere and the Hispanosphere, like the English and the Spanish speaking world. The Portuguese speaking world is the Lusosphere.
The Lucisphere, huh?
Yeah, because of the Lusitania, and so like they'll use that, like that prefix when it comes to certain conflicts that Portugal was in, and so you can see that also in a bunch of other things. Like you can see prefixes of things. So like there's like like Russo, Franco, um, Anglo, Hispano. You can see all of these different things.
You ever
And
stop
there's
and
come
wonder, like, do we really need to give all this bullshit specific names?
yeah,
Like,
I
there's
think
so
we
many
do.
names for things. Like, why do we need to add more, like, compartmentalism? Jesus Christ, I can't talk.
Well, because
Compartmentalism to it.
yeah, but I mean, no, but I mean, like the names we have for these certain places have existed for a long time, though. Are you talking about that, or are you talking about just like, oh, we need to have a word for like this new bullshit that came out for today?
I'm talking like our human desire to take things that already have classifications and names and then adding a whole different set of classification to it. So it's like adding specific regions for stuff that already has countries. It's like shit like that. It's just like, do we really need specific names for all these things?
I like it just because. I mean,
Do you
I
only
do.
like it because it makes you sound smart?
No, I mean, I can see why you would think that, but I just like it because I really just like categories and lists and like just organizing things. It's very satisfying,
I can see why it
And
gives you a
so
little chub then, but um,
yes,
I don't know. Like it's the same thing I had the problem with when I took zoology, just like the class, the kingdom, the fucking whatever. Like they had like 10 tiers of classification. It's like, do we really need all this classification? Like, good lord.
but it's cool though because it just shows you how complex things are. You know.
It's like, yeah, but you have to know what specific animal is what. It's like, why? Why do we need to know that?
No, but yeah, like grade A, under A. I don't know if you ever watched him. Like a while back, I don't really watch him anymore ever. But
It's a fucking
like
throwback. I haven't heard that name in a while.
you know who I'm talking about, though,
I
right?
do, yeah.
Yeah, he made some videos that are fucking hilarious. Like I still laugh at them when I watch them. He's so funny, and the British accent just makes it even better. He made his video about like how like insanely ridiculous it is how many different like quote unquote species there are of animals and how it's like there he's like so there's 11,000 species of ant. Oh, look at this one. This one looks different because the antlers like or whatever like they stick out in a bented way as opposed to like a straight way. He's like, well, maybe one ant just like had bent antlers. That doesn't mean it's like a new species.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I feel that. Like, like there's like that's what I'm talking about. Like, we just have so much classifications for shit that is just not necessary. Like, do you
Yeah,
really need
dude,
to
you know how
know all
many
10,000 species of ant? Like,
I
I'm
mean, some people are they're interested in that, just like how I'm interested in like all of the classifications of like the English language. The English language is classified just in the way that like, Homo sapiens are.
I'm not taking away from people that think it's interesting. I'm just saying, like, is it useful? The only way I can say, I guess, it's useful is like If they're trying to find like medical uses, like they're saying how they're trying to figure out the way that sharks, because with their DNA, they're, I guess, enabled to create any sort of cancer cell. So I guess trying to find like stuff in animal genomes that can help us out in life. That's the only reason why I could see we need a classification. But also, like in terms of music, like there's so many subgenres and people get offended, like, oh no, this is this specific genre or that kind of shit. Or whether it comes to food or regions or like where you come from, the people in a specific region where it's like the land has been fought over for thousands of years, so there could be so much genetic mixing. It's just, we just have to label everything.
Yeah, it's
I
because
think it's ridiculous.
human beings love identity,
I know.
and we have
They
like a
like
need.
false sense of identity. They like getting
Yeah,
distracted.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's in like modern like America
That's a lot of
with like the,
places. People die for that shit or kill for it. Like people that
yeah,
get like
no, but
into
like
extremist groups, like they're really into that false identity, or people that just have really shitty like extreme. I just use that example, but anything that
no, but
just fucking
I'm
destroys
sorry.
everything else.
Yeah, but like I mean, you see in like Ukraine with like president and all these people fighting for like their country which they love. It's like would we do that here? Like no. Everyone here like we fucking hate our culture, we hate our society, we hate everything to do with our country. And it's like over there it makes sense cuz they're like all, like they're all ethnically pretty similar and they all have like all these common things and there's just like more of this like sense of unity. And like obviously Ukrainian history is not as extensive and rich as American history, but they still kind of have like that thing, and they're proud of being Ukrainian, even though Ukraine has only been a country for like I don't even think 30 years, and it was just a state of Russia for a while.
I think it's just a combination of there's so many types of cultures and identities in this country, on top of us going through a really rough political fucking tyrannical thunderstorm for a lot of years. But I don't know. I've heard some people say that sometimes that's what it takes to get united, is to be, in a war situation. Because I can't imagine if we're getting invaded by another country, or if we have to go fight a war, God forbid, that we'd be fighting too much with each other. I know like the only thing that was kind of different, because obviously World War II was the biggest uniting factor of the country at the time. Not saying it was super divisive at that time, but it was, more of a strength. But I mean, obviously the Vietnam War, like that was a very unfavorable war.
Right.
I
Yeah.
feel like most war
And
these days would be unfavorable, but I think that's different. Like if we were going to go to a different country versus getting invaded. So I think if we were getting invaded, there's not too
yeah.
many people that are going to be infighting with each other. You know what I mean?
Well, right. Yeah. Because with World War II, our entire like future as a country and like safety was at stake, and we
Yeah.
could have been taken over by Germany.
Especially after Pearl
You know.
Harbor, because they were, I don't know if this is legitimate or not, but like I think the Japanese, like they were planning like a chemical gas attack on Los Angeles.
Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, you're right. I think I did hear something about that.
Yeah, so I mean, it could have gotten a lot more brutal. So had to
Yeah.
microwave the city a little bit. um,
I'd love to go to Pearl Harbor. That'd be really cool.
I do. Have you heard that there's a lot of people like really trying to like tell tourists not to go to Hawaii?
Yeah, I did hear about that.
Because apparently, I mean, obviously, the one that makes the most sense is, the people not respecting the nature and the locals and just like littering and just destroying shit everywhere. There's a lot of delicate plant life and a lot of sacred grounds
Yeah,
over there.
that probably is really annoying, and I can see why they're mad. I mean, obviously, I hate to sound like a holier than thou, but I mean, obviously, like if I was there, I wouldn't like. I would do my best to not do things of the sort.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't either. I'm usually pretty respectful no matter where I am. But I think, too, it's like the tourism industry has such a massive hold, and it's just like sucking all the money into that way. So there's a lot of poverty, and it's just getting super expensive to live there, too. So a lot of
Yeah,
people are moving and just have dick tons of money, and it's just fucking causing a lot of bad areas there. So there's a lot of, it's kind of like the people migrating from California and just like making whatever state they go to really shitty because they're just driving the cost of living up.
or New York. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Well, like you were saying about like the people being disrespectful and littering and all that stuff. That's where George Carlin is so correct in the
yeah.
fact that like people, especially, I mean, he was meaning in general, but in the situation with the travel, like people don't need to bring that much stuff when you travel. Like there's gonna be stuff wherever you go, you know.
Yeah,
You could just have what they have. You don't need to have what you have here at your home. Like in The Hobbit, like Bilbo doesn't take, I don't even think, much at all with him. Even though he wants to take a bunch of his stuff, like he wants to take his books and all his little gadgets and all that, but he doesn't need that, and he has to let go of that for a little while. He comes back to it eventually, and he appreciates it even more. You know?
yeah, and I remember we touched on that on the last one. So it's like just being a country of abundance and just super indulgent into any stupid thing that we can throw our money at to make us not depressed for a little bit. But I think it's just hierarchy. Our hierarchy of needs are just fucked up. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
dude.
liked watching George Carlin on that aspect, especially just
Yeah.
in the time. I mean, obviously the '90s now is moving farther and farther away, but I mean, not super long ago.
Yeah. When did he die?
He died in like 2008, 12, somewhere around there, I think.
I see. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, the thing that I liked about him is like he had very specific ideologies and ways that he thought about things, but he also was a lot more balanced too. He had messages that both people on either side of the political spectrum could just take some value out of, which was cool.
What kind of right wing things did he like?
Me personally.
No, did he like say was good? Because I know he was mostly left wing.
So I I don't know. I don't think he was that specific. Obviously, he was really critical of politicians at the time, and I guess I don't know because
Sure.
most people that
Yeah.
like
Sorry.
I mean comedians or any counterculture is usually against the current sitting president. So that's why like when you look at like political memes, um, during Trump's presidency, then it's just all negative ones about that. Or if you look it up during Obama's presidency, it's all just about that. And I remember I took a civics class in I think it was like ninth grade or 10th grade, and our job was to get a bunch of political cartoons and talk about them. I don't understand. I don't remember what the purpose for it was, but I guess just to
Yeah.
see where everybody was. I don't know. But so like I chose a bunch of ones that were obviously because it was during Obama's presidency. So I literally just because I was always winging assignments, so I just Googled image just political cartoons, and it was just all bashing Obama, right? So people thought I was just like this like this like super right wing nut when it's just like this is literally the first image that popped up on Google. I could give a fuck.
Yeah. Right.
Um, but yeah, no, I don't think he had obviously like he was more left wing on some of the stuff, but he also wasn't too. Like I said, like he had a bunch of shit that left wing people did, like just the way that they thought about things. And I'm
But what specifically though?
the environment. He was very right wing on the environment. He did you ever hear his bit about that? About how global
No,
warming
I.
wasn't going to be that big of a deal. So he's like, the planet's not going anywhere. We are. He was
Ah,
convinced that
okay.
humanity
I
was going
see.
to destroy itself way before like we do any more damage to the environment or like global warming was going to be a big issue. So he was pretty right wing, I guess you could say on that one.
I guess. I mean,
But yeah, I guess he was anti-religious, anti-establishment, and a lot of that I guess is left wing.
yeah.
Even though I don't know, there's a difference between being a liberal and being left wing, and being a conservative and being right wing. Like most people on both sides of the spectrum don't like the government either way, and want something
Oh,
different as
right.
opposed to. You ever see those? It's really cringy. Those people that are like they're very excited about like the stuff that the Supreme Court does, or it's like they think that they're gaining rights from the Supreme Court or losing rights and shit. Like
I'm like, bro, who cares?
it's just I hate people that like fucking idolize our government or politicians. It's just gross.
Right. I mean, they're essentially like they're celebrities.
Yeah,
They're
and
acting.
we shouldn't even be fucking that revered against celebrities either. But I
Well,
don't
yeah,
know.
because it falls into the same category. Because like now we don't worship, um, God. We worship these like celebrities and these like fake personalities and stuff like that.
Well, you could argue that God and all that stuff is also like a celebrity status too. Obviously, there's a difference in worship between celebrity and religion, but you could kind of make the same thing as like we just have to have somebody to look up to, whether it's a father figure, mother figure, entertainment,
You'd
lifestyle,
be
whatever.
surprised, dude. Like, there's a lot of people that I mean, like they claim to be non-religious, but like their lifestyles, like they prove otherwise, and they always like have this kind of like rigid, like like people that like are they stick to like a specific diet, and like they look down upon other people that don't eat like them, and they're like, no, you need to eat keto or like you need to eat paleo, and
Well,
like
that's my whole point. Is like it's the same thing but of a different vein.
Right, but it's still them being religious without them even realizing it.
Right. That's my point. Is like they structure
Oh,
their
okay.
lives the same exact way, except whether they're doing it celebrities, diet, religion, whatever the fucking case may be, and they look down at other people that aren't in the same group or don't have the same views. That's it's just a way that we are. It's just really stupid.
Dude, keto? Fuck that.
I don't know why that was so popular. It's clearly not good for you. I guess people realize that when they gain the weight back so fucking quickly. Because like maybe you shouldn't
Well,
fuck with your
yeah,
diet like that,
no,
buddy.
exactly. It's like people are like, "Oh, does it work?" I'm like, "Well, if you cut out an entire food group, you're probably going to lose weight." But
It's not just because you don't want to do that forever. It's not fucking good for you
no,
long
it's like
term.
no, cuz like I mean it's not compatible with like our modern just like social environment it just doesn't work. You
Yeah,
can't just like not eat carbohydrates. Uh and like also, I mean it's very good for losing weight very quickly, but obviously like I said it's not going to necessarily stay off. And like I mean athletes use it if they need to use weight, and it's that is like the one situation where I would say it is good because like if you need to make a weight class or you need to just like you need to like I just need to cut a little bit or something like that.
right.
That's a good way to do it. But for just like the average person, like you don't need to put yourself through that.
Yeah, I agree. It's like people picking an extreme because their situation is so bad. They just want to. I was just talking about this today because I came from the gym today. Um, I think the reason why
I
a
did
lot of
too.
people fail or like they don't lose weight or they don't get into a better spot is just the way they think about it. So it's you have to have your mind to be like if you just want to work out to lose weight, you're probably going to gain it back because you're not doing it to better yourself. You're doing it for a superficial reason, right? So it's like you're not. I mean, obviously, some people are like, oh, with the health benefits and blah blah blah, but like no, like it's supposed to better your mental space and it's supposed to enhance your life. And if you
Which it
don't,
does.
yeah, exactly. And if you think about it like that way, it does. And if you don't let that be your outlet, then you'll fail. And I kind of have the same sentiment about like drug problems. I think why there's a reason why some people keep going back through rehab is because they just have the idea of, oh, I want to be good and I want to be better. But once that, excitement runs out, they revert back to their old ways. Like you need to find something that like is your outlet or something that you can actually be true to yourself as opposed to, oh, I have to do this. Otherwise my life will be bad. Like it's just the way we think about shit in this country is so backwards. We just think short-term gratification, and once that fucking goes away, then we're going to go right back to how we were. Like we don't find a better way to be. We just want to find a better quick solution.
Right, and like partying goes in like the same category.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this stuff like a lot, but I mean, we gotta reinforce it, man. We gotta indoctrinate people, bro.
No, it's important to think about things in the right
Oh
light.
yeah, no, I'm just being honest, okay, guys. Like I'm just giving you my take on these things. I'm not using this as a platform to like teach people. Like I have like lessons and like I'm speaking from. I'm like no, 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 no. I'm not allowed to do that. I am not a priest. I am not allowed to preach. But what I can do is just offer you my takes on things based on life experiences. You know?
I don't know, I think some people find it motivating too because, like I said, there's a lot of people that struggle with doing something, whether it's working out or being sober or, just missing some fulfillment in their life. Like there's a lot of work you need to do mentally to prepare yourself for this. Like you have to prepare for big changes. You can't just jump into something and then expect it to work if you just coast and you do all the research and you do all the right things, but you don't take care of your headspace, so you're just going to go back. And that's why it's so difficult. And obviously, people with different
Yeah.
bodies react differently. So if they don't do like a specific workout or a diet that works for them, it's going to make it 10 times harder. So that's really not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people that do well short term and then they just spiral and go back into the depression or whatever the thing was that was holding them back because they don't want to actually be better. They just want the pain to stop, and then they'll do anything to get it to stop, and then they'll realize they're going to go back to where they started in the first place because that's how they got to being in the pain in the first place.
Well, yeah, that's just a lack of patience. You know?
Yeah, it's just a lack of patience and self-discipline. Like there's stuff that you have to
Basically, yeah.
train yourself to do that you don't want to do, but then you have to fill in the space with stuff that you enjoy. And like I said, you got to find your outlet.
Yeah, even like little things, man. Like like when you find yourself just like you're just doing nothing essentially, nothing good that is, and you're just like scrolling on your phone, and I'm just like, man, like it is hard sometimes to just like put it down and like do the thing that I kept telling myself I needed to do, like the dishes or the trash or like anything. And like my job is like really busy right now. Like there's a lot of stuff coming out. I have to like maintain a warehouse. I got to clean everything. I got to make sure that everything's like in order. I got to file all these POs. I have to um and like obviously this stuff was piling up, and there was POs that like my boss was getting invoices for them, and he was like, "Do you have the PO for this?" And I was like, "I don't know, I'll look." And then it was like obviously the stuff had just piled up, and like I had never got to it yet, and I was just like, "Man, I should have just like the second I knew that there was like a PO that needed to be filled out, I should have just did it, you know?" Sorry, I should have just done it. I don't speak
Should have
English.
done did it, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I don't know. Like I said, it. I feel you because I feel the same way with a lot of stuff, and obviously you can get burned out and go overboard, and that's not good either. It's just about that fucking balance. You just got to balance it, and
Because it
um,
can get confusing sometimes. Because you'll be, because like you said, you'll be burnt out, but then you might think of like, oh man, I'm just being lazy again. It's like, no, you're probably just, you know,
it is important to
everyone.
rest. You have to take days off just doing nothing sometimes. But for me,
Yeah, no,
I can
I
work
go.
all
Sorry,
week.
sorry.
I sorry, I keep talking at the same time. I just I just
Yeah.
like I can work all week, and then if like let's say like I'll work like Monday through Saturday because I'm going somewhere, so I'm taking a couple days off, so I'm working through the whole week to make up for it, right? And then I'll rest on a Sunday, and if I don't do anything on Sunday, I feel like complete shit, even though it's like a reset from the all all work week. It's really strange.
Yeah, dude, that's what I love about my weekends, just recreation. Because I mean, recreation is literally it's like you are recreating yourself. Like you're just constructing your personality, your views, like who you are essentially through your free time, not just through your actual job, which I mean you do that too. But it's really like when you're just kind of just like alone and you're just left to your own devices, where like you really kind of figure out who you are. You know, like what do you gravitate towards? What is it that like really brings out your passion and yeah, and then stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think I don't know. I mean, I want to say that the majority of people have the capability and the potential to do it. It's just finding that focus because I know from experience I have a bunch of things in my head that I know would be good, and it's hard to narrow them down to something that's actually realistic and accessible. So I feel like most people have like the intention to do that, but the practice is just so difficult, and not that many people can get specialized training to prepare for that. So I think it's just like it, but if you like what you just said, if you have that in mind, I think it makes your journey a lot easier. Um,
Yeah. Oh yeah, well, I mean, because people think like because they see all these people like right on social media and on TV and like on the internet, and like they see all of these like unattainable standards, and it's like you need to realize like, well, okay, like just because you won't look as good as them doesn't mean that you can't look good, or just because you can't do this thing as well as this person can doesn't mean that you can't do it well for you and have a good time with it. That's why um when my friend at the gym told me that someone told him, they were like, "Oh, dude, I just did like some sets on squat for like 180, but I know that's not a lot for you." And he's like, "Well, it doesn't matter if it's not a lot for me. It's a lot for you, and that's good."
yeah, I mean we're all individuals, and I think going back to like when people set goals that like are unattainable because they are presented with something, whether it's like in our entertainment or our music or whatever, like you wherever you feel like you have to look a specific way, like if people really ask themselves like why they want to reach that goal, is it the fear that people won't accept them because they don't look like that, or do you actually really want to look like that, and some people are so against that,
Yeah.
so it's like, oh, I'm gonna be the the counterculture to this thing. I can do the exact opposite of what these people are doing. So there is that as well. But I think people just don't question why they want to do things. They just want to do it on impulse, and it's just like, is this actually going to be beneficial? Like, you can put all this hard effort and all this work to obtain this unrealistic, I'm saying that word loosely, goal, right?
Yeah, I
And
mean, I know
then
what you
the
mean by
narrative
it.
just changes, and then the trend just goes to something else, and then you're left empty again. So it's like there's just no, like, I think for like trivial things like that, like when you're setting goals that are not realistic to yourself, it's just you just have to pick something different, because it's not going to make you feel better. Like, it'll make you more insecure in the long run, even if you do, because then you feel like you have to maintain it, otherwise you're nothing. So it's like you're giving yourself that false sense of identity. So I think just setting the right goals also makes sense too.
Yes, because goals are like the absolute, like they're one of, if not the most important thing when it comes to like just being happy and like feeling good. Because like when you have the goals, you obviously like you have like the plan, you have like the roadmap, and you're like, I hope to get here one day. And obviously, if you set yourself like you said, like a reasonable goal, and you can get to that, in like X amount of time, it doesn't really matter necessarily. But like when it comes to working out, people think that like they need to like just kill themselves every workout, and it's like, or because they're like, I'm like, why are you doing that? It's like, well, they said that like this celebrity did that. It's like, well, those people are paid to do that.
Yeah.
Also, that's a lot of lighting and like perfect timing mixed with like dehydration and all that stuff. But also, um, if you want to do this, you need to approach it in a way that like you could do it. Like you want to do it in a way that you would do for the rest of your life, and like, um, because it's like all of this like cramming and stuff like that never works, especially when it comes to school and all that stuff. Like, you always wanted to like. I mean, I never did it because I was stupid back then. But you would always want to like study a little bit every night, and by the time you like get to the test, it's like, oh yeah, it kind of just all clicks.
Yeah, then you fucking lose it, because it's not a good way to learn information, just cramming it for one goddamn test, and then you don't get any sort of experience or reference points with it. Then, like, not even a semester later, you forget all that shit. It's just not a good way
I
to learn.
I loved how, I don't know if you watch Bro Science Life,
I
but
think a couple I have, yeah.
I think one of my favorite quotes of his when he made his video about spring break, he was like, "Spring break is that big test you study for on the last day, and once the test is over, you forget everything that the test was about."
Yeah, exactly. And going back to the exercise and beauty thing, in my head, it's not even the fact that that's what's the standard, right? So, like, let's say the beauty standard was flipped because it's never been consistent throughout the millennia of human existence, right? So let's say that, like, people that were health conscious, skinnier, or more toned, muscly were not the desired ones. So it's the people that were fatter or, you know, just not as good looking in the face, right? So like that was the unattainable goal, to like you had to just keep eating or do something unhealthy on the other respective to look that certain way, right? Like it doesn't change. So like every time I say this argument, it's easy to bring up like either like the jealousy or the insecurity, but it's the same thing regardless if you flip it or not. It's the fact that you're taking this very stupid, trivial thing only because it's popular, and then you're letting it control your identity and also your insecurities. Like, it's just an extra layer of something you don't need to worry about it, because I don't want to hear this bullshit about people saying, oh, I'm working out to be healthy. Like, I feel like that's most people that say that, like, they could give a shit. They just want to look good, right? Obviously the health benefits are a side plus, but like if you were to work out, I guarantee you, like if working out was only good for your health but didn't make you look good conventionally, not like almost nobody
Oh
would do it at
fuck
all.
no. No, you would not. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
if you want to include like the mental stuff in the health category, then I can see what you mean by I want to
It
work out
does
to be
though.
healthy.
I do include in that category, and like most.
Then okay, because that's why I do it now. At least, I mean, obviously in the beginning, that isn't, because everyone admits that like, okay, in the
Yeah.
beginning I did it just because I wanted to look good.
And let me clarify, like I'm also of that vein too. Like I mainly do it because like it helps me with stress, and also helps me with anxiety, and I do feel a lot better. I don't feel as and like because like I don't drink coffee or soda really, so like sometimes I get like kind of tired, rightfully so, at night, right? So it gives me more energy and just makes me more functional as a person. But also in the mid, like yeah, like obviously like that is a good benefit of working out. Like you do want to look good, right, and also feel good as well. I'm just saying if you base your entire existence around that, putting all that effort into your goal is not going to make you a better person. It's going to make you just feel like you're going to have this unattainable body forever. And that's how people like, you know, get eating disorders or fucking just more insecurity, or like those models, like they
Yeah.
just constantly have to like not eat anything or just throw up or just do an insane diet just to even get that body. You know what I mean? Like it's just stupid.
Yep. I've been through that, man. That was not fun.
Yeah.
I mean,
And when you look, honestly, well, when you look back and like think about it, like what is the reason? Like why?
I know, man. It's like, yeah, seriously, what the fuck was the reason? Like,
There is no logical reason except you're just insecure because you want people to find you attractive, and or you want to represent somebody that you look up to, right? But again, that shit fucking changes. Like in 20 years, like fat people could be the new beautiful. Like you never know. Like it's
what
just
is it?
what?
No, I just remember there was like that magazine or whatever, like last year, where it was like the fat women are beautiful too, or whatever.
Dude, I don't know. I mean, the way I look at it, obviously, like attraction is subjective, right? But I have a pretty wide range of people that I find attractive, whether it's skinny or bigger or whatever. Obviously, there's a line on both regards. It's like I don't want people that are super super skinny or people that are super super obese. But like, dude, there's fucking attractive people in so many different types of body styles. You know what I mean? Like,
Dude,
it's not
I
that fucking
think
cut and dry.
I recalled that we talked about this in regard to ethnicity.
I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously, there's more connotations that involve that,
Right.
but yeah, I mean, you're gonna find things attractive regardless, even if it's a prejudice or like a ideology that you hold. Like, I mean, that's why. I mean, I guarantee you, there's some clan members out there that like jerk off to like black models. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's just that vice that everybody has.
I guess.
Like, you're just
I
gonna
know this
find
is
what
like
you
a
like attractive.
I know this is like a sensitive topic for a lot of people to talk about, and they might like, just be weirded out by us like talking about this, you know. But I'm just like, okay, like some people like are just physically attracted to certain things, and like they can't help that.
Yeah, no, seriously, and I mean, if you're talking about pedophilia, then yes.
No, yeah, exactly. I mean, that doesn't mean that like I mean, if you have those feelings, obviously you shouldn't act upon them, you know, and that's why obviously you know as a Christian, that's like why I don't support homosexuality either. Because like I mean, like having the feelings. I mean, like okay, I mean everyone has temptations, but like you can't act upon the temptations if you know what I'm
I
saying.
think there's a very, very big difference between homosexuality and pedophilia, though. I don't think.
No, there is, but
Yeah, you might want to.
no, but there is, but like the argument I'm using essentially is that like it doesn't matter if it's like oh well because it's like well by the same logic of a man and a man can get married then and like because that's how they're made and that's who they're attracted to then why cannot like a pedophile just like you know do what he wants to do you
Because
know.
it's proven that pedophilia causes damage and trauma, and it's not
Well,
proven that
yes.
homosexuality does it unless it's predatory. Obviously, you can have trauma in any sort of sexual thing, right? No matter what it is, but like again, like if it's like a standard relationship, whether it's monogamous or polygamy or whatever the fuck, right? Like I said, I would say all types of pedophilia are harmful, whether
Oh
it's
yes, you're
grooming
right.
or anything like that. But like not like I don't know. You just have to be very
No,
specific with it.
no, yes, but this just goes back to like the teaching of the church, which is that like all sexual acts that are outside of the context of matrimony are not okay. And so that's why I'm like they're not hypocrites because like why they don't support like homosexuality and stuff like that. It's like okay, like married couples aren't allowed to just like fuck each other whenever they want. Like there's order to this stuff and it's not like these people can have fun but these people can't. It's like no, essentially like no one can have fun. But that doesn't mean that no one's happy. You know?
I don't know.
Because it's
You have to look at it
no,
like,
because
is
it
this actually doing damage? And if it's not, then just who gives a shit, right?
no, it does do damage, but I guess we don't have to talk about that.
Well, then I guess what is because obviously there, and you can either call it like just having it be in a position of power, or just having it be just from repression. Like, what is like then just an actual infatuation with children, then with the clergy?
Oh, okay. You think that every single clergyman is a pedophile?
No. But if you're going to use the same argument that's like not all types of homosexuality are good, then like it's going to be of the same vein. Because also there's a big problem in that community is like there's a lot more people that are like introduced to that young that are not as demonized as like like a straight guy doing it to like a little girl. Like it's more, well, obviously most people
Wait,
now think it's bad, but like
that are introduced to what?
people that are gay have been like, and they've been exposed to a sexual situation a lot younger than most people that are heterosexual. So like obviously there's a lot of predatory stuff going on with that, but again, like it just have to take it in context with what the thing is. So it's like regular people that have adult relationships that are consensual, doesn't equate to pedophilia to me.
Oh, right, but you were saying that I was saying that?
No, what I'm saying is like
Okay,
because
okay.
like obviously like it is a common obviously not everybody's doing it, but it is a common thing, and it's also not heterosexual abuse. It's mainly like homosexual abuse that's happening. So it's like if it's such a demonized thing, like why is that such an infatuation then?
Yeah, do you know why that's the case? Because
Well,
like I've kind of
in my
wondered
head,
that.
I think it's from the repression, and I also think it's just power. Like I said in the last podcast, it doesn't matter if you're in Hollywood or a politician or clergyman, whatever the fuck, you're in a position of power. It's easy to abuse. I just think it's interesting that majority of people that have had it abused from clergymen have been like boys, not too many girls.
Yeah,
And there's a lot
it
of
is
sexual abuse. I mean,
really
you watch
sad.
To Catch a Predator,
Yeah.
you watch all that shit. There's a lot of heterosexual pedophilia that goes on, but obviously there's some
It's almost all of them. I mean, like obviously, like there's some of them that are not,
yeah,
but
exactly. But like
yeah.
with specifically with clergymen, a lot of it is like young boys, and that's why I think it's interesting. It's like homosexuality is demonized so much within that, but then that's like the vice that is the most common. Or like you
I
always
mean,
hear
well,
stories of people having like you ever see those like preachers on TV that like confess to the audience that they've had an affair, like stuff like that. It's just very
probably.
strange.
Also, I know in Donnie Darko they kind of they made fun of that a lot.
Yeah, but what I'm
That
saying like
I
it's
was thought was hilarious.
but I'm not making a generalization. Like like statistically, like it's a thing that happens. I'm just thinking like in terms of
I
thinking of the
know.
ideology, like why is that the same sort of context?
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, it is unfortunate that that's the case, but this is why that any priest who does that to a little kid deserves to be castrated or killed, and they probably will go to hell. I
Right, but
mean,
my point is,
obviously,
like, I know it's bad. My point is, I'm not trying to get you to
yes.
apologize for Catholic priests that did that. That's not my point. My point is, like, why is it specifically like little boys as opposed to
I
girls?
don't know. I couldn't tell you why because I'm not a pedophile, so I don't want to like think about that because that's awful.
I
you
think it's the
know.
fact that it's so like forbidden. That's why it's tempting. So like the people that are gonna be lost in that way, it's more like it gives them more of a thrill. I think, if you would
Would you
ask
apply
me,
that to like murders and and things like that?
yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's
but
just the nature of it.
that doesn't make the thing okay though.
Well, no, obviously not. It's my overall
Right.
point is just like it's there's no use in even like not even the sexual point like with I use like the standard of beauty, right? It doesn't make sense to specifically choose a goal or something that you need to ascertain for the wrong reason because like pedophilia, you want to do something you really want because it's a goal. As fucked up as that sounds, that's their goal is they
I
need to
see.
get
Yeah, I see what you're
fulfillment
saying.
to
No, right, right, right,
that's
right.
what I'm saying. So it's like you don't think about something right way or like you feel like you're being denied of that thing, then you're going to want to do it a lot more and it's not going to be beneficial to your life. So that's why I'm saying like having like being like repressed in that way and also like condemning like the condemnation of homosexuality, I think is the concoction of why a lot of those priests choose little boys, honestly. So I feel like if it wasn't so demonized within the church, it wouldn't happen as much.
I feel you.
Yeah. And I mean,
Well,
honestly, like it might not, because there's, I mean, it's a lot of secular cases
yeah,
of
but I mean,
pedophilia. It doesn't really make a difference either way.
yeah,
I'm just
because I
saying
mean, it's
specifically
not
like little
that's not
boys.
exclusive. I mean, it's demonized almost everywhere. Like I think if you talk to most normal people, like, hey, is this okay? Yeah, no.
Well, so I mean,
Yeah.
I this topic really interests me a lot because I watch, like, I love To Catch a Predator. I just think it's crazy we get to see these people in real life and they're
Why,
not actors,
Jason?
because I like
I
fucking it's just
no 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 no. I see. No no, because like we have as human beings, like we like murder mysteries. We like all of this kind of like this yearning for the unknown and like this fucked up shit. You know.
yeah. No, it interests me
Yeah.
because, like I said, I've loved To Catch a Predator. There's a lot of guys like vigilantes on YouTube that, also bait pedophiles into meeting up, and then they go talk to them, and a lot of them are not good. But there is one that's really good on YouTube called Pop Squad, and he actually has a really interesting dialogue with them, because he's like, I think the mistake that most of these predator hunters make is that they think that, catching a pedophile and then like degrading him on camera is gonna make good content, because it's very agreeable. Like pedophilia is an awful thing, so it's like you're gonna go and degrade somebody. Like it's sellable, right? But this dude actually has a conversation with them, and in that you actually get a lot of insight into what happens, and you can see all the lies that they tell. And I mean, the number one consensus is that like the compulsion is just so strong. Like there's people that are multiple offenders, like they're on the registry, they've been in and out of jail a couple times, and the laws aren't that heavy for stuff like that. Like you can be, out of jail in a couple months, or sometimes in like maybe 2 years, and you're just gonna go out and reoffending. Like the compulsion is enormous, right? So
Yeah.
that's part of it. And I also read one article. There was a guy that, and I don't remember what the context was, but I think he admitted that he was a pedophile, but like he never did anything. He never tried to contact people. He realized early on that he just naturally had this attraction to children, and he was trying to like get help for it, so like he wouldn't hurt people, right? So like he did an interview basically saying like, I don't go out, or I don't talk to people, because I know like I'm attracted to children. I know something will happen. So he is of the, he's trying to get rehabilitated before he does something, because I think if you can stop a bad mindset before you get a taste of the apple, you're a lot more likely to, get actually rehabilitated. Or if you're a child and you get rehabilitated before you're like when you're developing, then it's a lot easier for you to just avoid tragedy. Like there's a girl that was really violent and was psychopathic at like 6. Like she wanted to hurt her brother for no reason, but she ended up getting therapy and then was able to live a normal life and didn't kill anybody. So if you're, what is proven, I guess, is if you really try to stop the compulsion before you do it, it's a lot easier to change, as opposed to, like I said, getting rehab or trying to go therapy or getting out of jail multiple times. Like the compulsion just keeps getting stronger and stronger once you do it.
Well, right, and I say that you could apply the same thing to homosexuality
In what way?
in the way like you were saying, where like you can make the like actual effort to, you know, prevent the impulsory thing. If you see what I'm saying.
Like I said, I think
Um,
it's vastly different. Like it's not the same thing as pedophilia. Obviously, there's
no, but
homosexual pedophilia, but like I don't think it's not the same thing as a compulsion. Like it's just a sexual identity. There's like
no, but
heterosexuality and
also
homosexuality and whatever. Like I don't think it's the same thing at all.
no, but like I don't see why if in this case you're saying like if a homosexual relationship, if it's consensual, is okay, and then a one where if it's like an overage person with an underage person and it's consensual, would that be okay or no?
No, because it's proven that even if it's consensual with underage, like it is like proven to develop trauma. Like
Okay.
like obviously legally, like kids can't give consent, so like it's illegal. Obviously homosexuality was illegal until a couple of years ago, right? But that's only for marriage. But I don't think people were going, I mean, my history is fuzzy on this, but obviously it was overruled in the Supreme Court. But because it's two adults, period, so it's like I don't know. I mean, you can technically blur that line of like 16 and 17 with a 24-year-old, right? Generally pretty gross, but I don't think it's going to cause as much trauma as like a 13-year-old and like a 40-year-old. You know what I mean? So regardless of whether
Oh
that's
yeah, yeah.
heterosexual or homosexual, like it's proven to cause damage even if the kid thinks that it's consensual when it's not. So that's the biggest difference.
What if that's just how they are?
About where? What do you mean?
Well, no, because I mean that's just what the that's. I mean I know that's not the entire argument, but that's what a lot of people say for the justification of homosexuality is that's just how they are and it's in their nature.
To do what? Be pedophiles? I'm
No,
not
to be
understanding your question.
homosexuals. No, but because like I'm saying like, well, what if that's just how they're made, and what if you need to respect that? You see?
Are you talking about like pedophiles? That's how they're made. They need to respect it.
Yeah, so I'm trying to say like when you apply the same thing from the justification for homosexuality, how does that not still
Because like I
uphold?
said, like two adults consenting to do something, and like I said, your term for adult can be different if you are of a mature mind, because like the age of consent is different in some states or some parts of the world. Like a
Sure.
lot of it is 16, right? So like I'm not even talking about like 16, 18. I'm talking about like preteen or child. So like a child cannot consent to give sex or have
I
any
understand
sexual
that,
relations.
and that's why I think it's bad.
Right, but that's what I'm
But
saying, because it's proven to have trauma and do damage. But if it's two adults and I guess have developed, let's just, for the sake of argument, people with developed brains having sex versus people that don't have developed brains, right? So we'll just start there to make it simple, because you can argue back and forth of what age is technically not harmful and what is. I don't even want to go there. But
yes, well, and like you bring up these, um, like it proves to like show like trauma and all that stuff, and it's like yeah, but that might not be in all situations. What if these two people love each other? Like you see what I'm saying? Like just because they quote unquote love each other doesn't mean that it's okay.
because they won't feel that way forever. Like that's what I'm saying. Like
Yes, and I don't understand how that doesn't apply to homosexuality. They might not feel like that way forever. And you can apply the same thing to like a premature heterosexual marriage. They might not feel that way for the whole time. That's why
yeah, but there's a
that like
difference
that,
in
that
like changing your sexual orientation or experimenting with your sexuality than grooming a child. Like that's two completely different things. Like I'm not saying like you have to stick with one sexuality or the other. You can be as fluid as you want, but like I said,
yeah,
like
but
there's too
there's
many cases where it's been super abusive and yeah, I mean obviously there are cases where people like it it is consensual and like they do quote unquote love each other, but like it just ends up like unequivocally being damaging, regardless if they think
yes, and
it's
this
love, like helpful, or if it's love or not.
well, right, and it's like homosexuality is in the falls in the same category. Like you said, it's not to that same extent, but it's still it dips over the line.
Are you talking about with like two underage people being homosexual or two adults being homosexual?
Either way, I guess.
How is it for two adults?
I was like,
How is it
what
damaging for
the
two adults?
well because okay, so here is why homosexuality is not okay based on Judeo-Christian values. So family is the most important thing in society. Without family, society essentially crumbles. And once you do that, you can't have a family, and society crumbles. That's essentially as basic as you can get.
Okay, so
And you're
then
essentially, it's because you're pursuing a relationship just as if you were heterosexual and you think a woman's really hot. You're just pursuing a relationship because you are physically attracted to this person as opposed to like actually loving this person.
I guarantee you there's a lot of like Christian women that can't have children for whatever reason, right? So they have to adopt. Like there's a lot of gay people that adopt and have a family.
Yes, but these Christian women that adopt, they are still like they have husbands. You can't adopt a okay, I'm not saying you don't physically have the ability to legally adopt a child if if you're like in a gay relationship, but like that's not obviously like the argument's not just based on like the I can't physically reproduce
Well, they can
because
have
like
families though. Like it doesn't matter if it's their biological kid, but like there are
yes,
like
but like a kid can like a kid shall not grow up with two dads or two moms. Like that's just that's not how it works. Like that's not how a household functions. That's not how a healthy society is bred.
I think it like regardless if it's heterosexual, homosexual, family, no family, I don't think we have really any sort of. I don't think we have too many good values in this country, regardless if we have a family or not. Like, I
Not
think like.
anymore. I mean, we did, but not,
Well, it's
it's
like no,
all
it's like
gone.
even like the nuclear family had a ton of problems. Like there's
What is,
tons of
like
shit.
okay,
Like I
well,
grew up in that kind of
what would
environment.
you what would you define as the nuclear family?
Like you said, just the
Because I
standard.
remember you asked me the same question of whether or not I would want that, and I should have asked you whether or not what did you mean by that specifically?
I don't know, like the fucking husband is the one that has a job, the woman stays home with the kids. Maybe you have one son, one daughter. They're affluent. I guess you live in a nice house. Like you celebrate all the holidays. You go to church on Sunday. Like it's just a standard American nuclear family. Whatever way you want to do specifically, I guess.
Well, that's not necessarily how I would live, but I see nothing wrong with that.
What do you consider as a nuclear family then?
No, no, that is what I would describe as the nuclear family.
Right, so that's what I'm
Um,
saying. So like even like in that context, like it doesn't matter if you're a nuclear family or not. Like if you have good values, you can instill that onto your children. I don't think you have to have a
no, but there's certain factors though about the nuclear family that they don't have to you don't have to have like a functioning family doesn't necessarily have to have like you attend all the holidays and you live in a nice house, you have two kids, like your husband like wears a tie and goes to 9 to 5, comes back, and mom stays home. Like you don't need to have necessarily all of those factors in play, other than the fact you just need to have a man and the woman, and like you just have to have a man and a woman and children. That's what a family is. It doesn't necessarily need to have all. I mean, all the circumstances are just a part of just being American, and how that kind of developed.
So you don't think it's
Um,
possible for anybody to instill like good values onto children unless you're in the traditional family?
no, it is. I mean, the values of like family and sticking together and like just tradition. Like you cannot show that to people in other kinds of relationships.
So is that also like exclusive to like single dads and single moms or people that grow up with one parent? Like you need to have two?
Yeah, you do. That's why divorce is not okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's why you like in the religion which I follow, you you cannot just be in like a buffer state. Like you need to either choose religious life or to get married. You can't just be you can't just be single for the rest of your life. Obviously, you can be single like for a little bit, which is what I'm doing, but eventually you either need to pick religious life or get married.
And
One religious life could be. Oh no, I'm sorry. What were you going to say?
well, I assume you're going the marriage route.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, contemplated the religious life, but I mean, people associate like religious life with just the priesthood, which that's part of it. But there's tons of things you could do in the religious life side. Like you could be a canon lawyer, which is people that they practice law within the church. I think it's pretty cool. You could also be a monk, which they're badass. You could be a you could just be like a brother. You could just be like a lay brother. Um, yeah, there's a bunch of options either way. Um, because it's like there's all that stuff, but it's like well then on the marriage side, you might think it's very narrow, but it's like well, there's a lot of people I can marry. you know,
That's true. So you'd
yeah.
never like if you did go the clergy life, you wouldn't ever adopt a kid, especially one that was like in need or something.
No, no, you can house like children and stuff like that. I'm fairly sure. I mean, obviously, you can't like adopt them as like your own legal son. That you couldn't be like their legal guardian. But yeah,
Wait, so that's actual law? Like you can't legally adopt a child if you're in the church?
I don't think you can. I mean, I don't want to say no when that is the case, but no, I mean that's why orphanages were made by like nuns and stuff like that to house these kids. They weren't like the legal. I mean, I guess they were the legal take caretakers because the people were like they were under their custody, I guess, but
Yeah,
they were not like.
I don't
But
think
like
I think they belong to the state. Maybe I don't know
they're
in the
they're not
context
under
of.
the custody of the nuns.
I
I
don't
don't know how
know.
that works.
That's
Yeah, that's
actually an
weird to think
interesting
about.
question. I don't think so. I mean, obviously, they're definitely
Yeah.
responsible for them, but I don't think they're not legal guardians of those kids. I don't think.
Yeah, no, but does legal guardian just mean you have custody,
It means
or
you're
what?
the I
Because I don't know how that works.
I think so. I know that like if you have legal guardianship, like you are responsible for them and like you're like their emergency contact, or like you can represent them if they commit a crime or pick them up from obviously emergency contacts can pick up people from school, but I don't know about now. But
Yeah,
um oof, your murky waters there. But
dude, we're not gonna be allowed to do anything
I
anymore.
know people keep shooting shit up and kind of will go outside without being a metal detector.
Yes, I'm like, can people just not do that, man? That's one of the many things where I'm like, can people just not do that, please?
That's interesting. So I guess here's another question then. Like how many people do you think that are Catholic, like they don't live like a traditional family lifestyle and they think like feel super guilty and like super secretive about it?
Super secretive about the fact that they don't have the standard, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about how many of them are guilty, but I can guarantee you that probably like 60% of Catholics don't live that way. Um,
60%. That's a pretty high average.
what
It's more than half.
Probably that's just me. That's just me guessing. No, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's just me just guessing. I don't know if that's the actual number.
Well, that's why sometimes it
Um,
confuses me because like there's a lot of times where you're saying like the fact that it has been infiltrated, right? Because it is a system of Jesus, so the devil's infiltrated, but it's also like a bunch of rules that are contingent upon that. But then if the majority of the people don't follow it that way, so then that's what it's a very interesting way of like navigating life, I should say, because it makes it difficult to choose what the right thing is to do if there's so much misinformation within its own circle.
all right, because I mean, like the clergy and the magisterium have caused so much confusion when it comes to all these things. You know about even if I tell you right now, oh, like Pope Francis homosexuality. You're like you don't necessarily know like for someone who's not like in on this stuff necessarily, like you might not know all the details or what his actual views are on this thing, but you know there's like some kind of controversy about like comments that the Pope makes about things that of like doctrine that has stood for like 2,000 years and stuff like that, you know.
I, I'm curious to know like when did you I guess figure out that like those two were separate? Like were you taught that? Did someone tell you that or did you just figure that out?
What is separate?
Like you saying like the doctrines and the misinformation, what you just said.
Oh, well, I mean that just comes from I mean, yeah, I was taught, but that's Catholic moral theology because obviously the church is perfect, but the people who are running the church are not necessarily. Well, I say
I
no,
was about to say that
nobody's
makes
perfect,
no
but
sense.
yeah, I know. Yeah, because I kind of fucked up by saying the necessarily, but no, the people who are in the church running it are not. So
It still doesn't make
because
sense because that's contingent. Like that's the system. It only runs with the people that fucking run it. So
well,
you
it
can
needs
have
to
like
be
you
run.
can have a written system and a set of rules or a set of things that are totally different than the people running it say to do it by. And that's what I'm saying is like that's completely that's how the ship gets steered, man.
But that's why we have all of this like doctrine that has lasted for as long as it has to guide us in these kind of situations, and like that's why the Catechism of the Catholic Church exists.
But
And
what
it
does it
get
matter if the
basically
majority of the people like don't follow it or don't like perceive it in that way?
well, those aren't. That's not the clergy. Those are lay people.
The whole point is you can't have religion without
Those
people,
people.
right? Whether it's clergy or not, like you, there
No, yeah,
has to
you
be
do need
people to
people.
sustain this shit. And if the majority of them are
Exactly.
having this rift within the original, like that's what I'm saying. Like it's a very interesting
Oh,
dichotomy.
but I mean, it's no, but it's like a yes, no, you are right in that sense. But when you ask me like what percentage of Catholics like aren't necessarily like living these certain things, I mean, I think were you mainly just talking about the family life aspect,
I'm talking about like I to me like I
just
mean
in general?
this is from me
Okay.
growing up. Like obviously like it's a lot different than other. Like you can there's a lot of different interpretations and everybody thinks that their version is right. So it's like you can and like you said like you there's an actual message in the way that it's supposed to be followed. And then if the people in the church have been infiltrated and then like spread that misinformation and like perceived as something different, that still is going to be contingent upon what they say. So it's like if people are going to live a different lifestyle than what they're preaching, then that's going to create a giant rift, and either going to be have people that are going to be secretive about it and then go to vices that they normally wouldn't if it was just accepted, or like they're going to find, it's like I said, when you make shit illegal, they're going to be a more dangerous and less beneficial version in there, because they still want to get, it's the compulsion, they still want to do that thing. So it's like if they didn't have such a problem with homosexuality, there probably would be less like damaging versions of it, you know what I mean? Like if you want to like do it in that context, or like the family lifestyle, right? So it's like if it's such a big problem for one person to raise a kid, or for two homosexual people to raise a kid, like there's probably like some people that do that because that's just how life works. Like life isn't that simple. Like you're gonna do things that go against whatever the grain is, or you're gonna be stuck in a situation that's not normal. So that's what I'm
Yes, but
saying.
yes, but every culture has taboo, um,
Yeah, and it's all
and things
different.
that
That's
you
my
just
point. Like it doesn't matter if it's objectively good or bad. Like it's just gonna be whatever your culture preaches. And if people never
right.
question it, then that's just going to be what it is. But if there's already a big rift and a big schism in it already, then what, like it doesn't seem like there's a consistent message. It just seems like whatever is the new thing, and then people are going to hold on to the old tradition, or they're going to flock to the new one, or they're going to feel secretive enough to not be accepted. Like it just seems like it's a very weird spot.
Well, yeah, that's the problem with the Pope and a lot of the bishops and the cardinals. But like you said, like it's been infiltrated. That doesn't mean that like everyone there is just completely gone. you
Well,
know.
no, but I mean, if you have, I mean, obviously it's a generalization by like guessing what percentage over which, obviously, but it just is interesting because I can't think of something to that I would be involved in that I would just have that much just uncertainty with, because that's why like I'm not like a groupthink person anyway. That's why I don't vote. I don't consider myself to be part of anything. It's bad enough sometimes when like musicians get outed for being abusers or pedophiles, because it's like, fuck man,
Mm.
you're just sweating because you hope it's not a band you're gonna listen to. So it's like I hate even being loosely a part of shit like that. So like I like having
Yeah.
more control over my destiny than being a part of an organization, really. And that's, I think that's just my main problem, is just like I'm at the mercy of other people that don't fucking know me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that is how you could look at it. And that is essentially how I look at it, because when I'm part of the Catholic Church, I mean, the leader of the Catholic Church is Jesus. So I'm with him, because you don't have to, like, if a bishop is abusing his authority, if a priest is abusing his authority, you don't have to answer to him. The only person you essentially answer to is Christ.
Right, but where do they learn from? You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Like you have to
They
learn about
learn from
Christ from somewhere.
Christ. Well, right. And you need to have like a properly ordained priest to teach you about him.
Right, so the ones that don't get taught by properly ordained priests are going to have that mindset. You know what I mean? Like it's not about just
Right. Well, you're gonna have what mindset of
the
like
wrong
the
message, of the wrong interpretation of the message, and then that's just what you're going to peddle. So it's like if you were to go back in time like 2,000 years ago and you would ask Jesus about homosexuality, like what do you think he really would say? If you were to, like, do you think he really would care?
I mean, yes. I mean, dude, you want to read the Bible and like the Hebrew Mosaic law and what it had to say about homosexuality? I'm pretty sure he would have told you that.
I thought they, like, it's like a recent change, like it wasn't that specific. Like I thought the
No, it
original verse was
was
like man shall not lay with a child or something. I thought that was the original verse.
well, no. So I think it's in Leviticus. It gives the list of taboo in terms of like sexuality. So he says like like a man shall not lie with another man. A man shall not lie with an animal. A man shall not lie with a child, right? And a man shall not lie with like his neighbor's wife and stuff like that.
Didn't they also like a? I can't remember who said what because it's been fucking forever. But didn't they
Right.
abolish like the old Abrahamic laws? Like, isn't that like? I don't know if like Catholics follow the same New Testament like that, but
Um, you mean like when the church was founded?
yeah, because like aren't you also like not allowed to eat shellfish, or there's like a you can't wear
Um,
polyester or some shit. Like it's like I thought all of those were of the same vein. So it's like it's not meant to be taken literal.
certain things we do still need to abide by, but then certain things I know is because Saint Peter had he had like I think I don't know if it was visions or dreams, but God basically told him like you can eat the unclean animals now, like pork and stuff like that. So it was basically that's I know where a lot of like the getting rid of certain customs came from. Um,
I see.
and I know because there was like a obviously, because the first Christians were just Jews who believed in Jesus, but then there was like a because but the whole point of Christianity was that you didn't have to be Jewish in order to be Christian. So then there was a lot of problems with that of like what about these Gentiles that were uncircumcised? Like, do they need to be circumcised now? All this stuff, and there was a bunch of this like stuff even early on about like what do we do with all this stuff?
I don't know, I just think the
Um,
original message has been fucked with so much, and people just want to abide by the modern version of it. I don't know. I just to me it just sounds like it's a big bastardization of it. But again, if it's actually beneficial to your life and you don't harm others, then fucking go for it. And that's really what I can, I carry that sentiment to whatever.
all right. Well, part of me wishes that certain Judaic practices still were in Catholicism, but I mean, can't get everything you want.
Why don't you start your own? Why don't you
I mean,
come up with your little
I'm pretty
sector
sure start on my own what
church? Or your own
because
new, you
that
can start a new branch. Once you start your own branch, it's not been tainted by the claws of
well,
the devil.
what if I told you? What if I like reinforced you like in almost like every episode of the podcast that
Which you
like
reinforces that you have a very different attitude about it than most people that are higher up in the Catholic Church. And
but there's also people that are high up in the Catholic Church that have almost identically like almost exactly the same view as I do.
are you a part of one of those now?
Well, it's not like it's like it's a de facto subgroup, but it's not official because it's still affiliated. It's still in communion with Rome. Because in order to be Catholic, you need to be in communion with Rome.
I guess what I'm asking
Catholicism,
is like the
what?
church that you are like in now. Like, do you like does it like uphold your own values that you've said here, or is it the
Yes.
same?
You mean of like in regards to Catholicism?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, because that's what I was curious. Like, if you like hold all these views, but like because like you saw that from your own church, but then you just decide to do your own research about it, and then that's just kind of what you came up with, or if that's like what you've been taught from your church. That's what I
I
was.
mean, I've gone to yeah no I can see why you're interested in that because you can obviously see all of like the varying viewpoints when it comes to all these certain things within the church.
To be honest with you, it sounds like it's a massive divide.
It is, man.
Like, it doesn't sound consistent, and that's why it's difficult.
Right, and that's why it's confusing for a lot of people. But so I mean, I've been to a lot of different churches, and we don't just go to one specific church, but generally this is how it goes. So if you go to a mainstream Catholic church, and guys, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying anything good or bad necessarily about this kind of church as opposed to that, but I'm just telling you like this is how the people are gonna vote and be more towards if you go to this kind of church as opposed to that church. So like if you go to a mainstream Catholic church in like an urban environment, it's probably gonna be pretty Democrat, not necessarily leftist, but it's probably good. They're probably gonna vote Democrat.
Like, they're more
And if you
progressive on the traditional family stuff.
Well, yeah, so that's because like they're not necessarily leftists, but like they vote Democrat and stuff like that.
I see.
Um, right. So like they're obviously going to be like, yep, I don't like abortion, and I don't like I don't like gay marriage or whatever, but I think that the Democrats like help out the poor, so that's why I vote Democrat and stuff like that, and that's why like, a lot of Christians who are Democrat vote Democrat. Um,
My
but
grandma was like that. She said some questionable things
oh
racially, but
yeah,
also votes Democrat. It's a very weird. People are strange, and I think that's part of my fucking problem. Is like people just they claim they're one thing, but they don't actually know what that thing is. They just have their own beliefs that they believe, and they'll defend them till they die, and then they just want to be a part of the group that they like, even if they are completely a 180-degree turn from it.
yeah, it's really. But that also reinforces the thing to me of how like the whole like left and right We think that like these are factions that like have existed since like the beginning of time. It's like no, like it really hasn't. Like that's just kind of us in like our American minds and the way we think about things.
I mean, obviously, you listen to people from other countries talk, it doesn't sound too much different. Like it's it's your side versus my side, whether it's Muslims and Jews or fucking
No, but we have like the whole thing, and Bill Burr talked about this. How like in American politics, you think like, oh, there's problems. If these people weren't here, then we wouldn't have problems.
Why not? Who knows? But they definitely make it fucking harder. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, and I'm sorry. What were you saying?
I don't know. Go.
Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention that if you go to like a traditionalist Latin um Catholic parish, it's probably gonna be more right wing and yeah, like it's not necessarily like a 180. Like you can still find right wing Christians at like a mainstream Catholic church, but if you go to like the Latin Mass, it's most likely they're all gonna vote red.
I mean, I assume so. Most religious people, I would say a greater percentage of people that are religious are conservative versus liberal.
Or at least it's been now, because I mean, like traditionally, I mean I don't think the right was Christian until like recently, because like I said,
How
the
recently?
whole yeah, that's what I don't know because um
I know there was a
the
party switch, but that was like back in the 1800s.
yeah, but certain things still do remain constant. I know,
Um,
or else like they wouldn't be the same name technically, I guess.
I mean, but if you think about it, it's like it's no accident that like I said, like you can get a thing in the mail, and like the only thing that people ever argue about is just all the bullshit on the checklist, like abortion, religion, homosexuality, healthcare, immigration. Like it's just shit you either really agree with or disagree with, right? So
Oh yeah,
I
when you
don't
bring it
think
down to
it's the
that, yeah.
politicians came up with this system. They just listened to all the bullshit that people believed and said and used that like against him, and then the other party is like, well, we're just going to try to get more power on that other side to see how many, like, it's just a game to see how many people believe in what stupid fucking thing so they can control them. So it's like if there's a majority of people believe this one dumb thing, and then they try to convince the other side that they're going to get more people to believe the contrary belief than that, then more power to them. So it's like we're just in this weird fucking war of like dumb shit that people believe. It's either like trust science or deny all of it, or like it's just there's no fucking middle ground for anything.
Yeah, I mean, you put it very well in that it's a game.
And like, why would they like this? Like, they wouldn't do it for no fucking reason. Like, I guarantee you, all the politicians, left or right, believe the same shit. Like, they probably all play golf together.
Well,
Like, fucking.
not on everything, but
Well, no, not in public. But I guarantee you, catch them in a room drinking whiskey, they're probably gonna say the same shit. Like, got them.
not necessarily. But I mean, I can say you feel that, and I'm sure there's some that do. But like, no, but I
Why
mean,
would they? I mean, think about it. Why would the majority of them argue about this stupid shit and not fix the country? Everybody claim like anytime there's a massive like our economy, like it's just the blame game. Like nobody's gonna fix it. They're just gonna blame the Democrats are gonna blame the Republicans for the gas prices. Republicans are gonna blame the Democrats for the gas price. Like nobody fucking takes any responsibility. They blame it on the other side, and it doesn't get fixed. And then they try to
all
like
right.
put some ideology of like the Republicans like, oh, this is why the gas prices are high because Biden canceled the fucking pipeline, or liberals gonna say, oh,
Well,
the
that's
gas
kind of
prices are high
true.
because of corporate greed. So it's like nobody fucking fixes it. They just keep saying the shit that people believe dumbly. It's just gets me under my skin.
Yes, but no, I understand. I consider my skin too. But if you leave these two factions essentially to their own devices, things would be quite differently,
Bro, they
respectively.
fucking are. They make the devices like they fucking
Well, right. So like
they are
that's
their own
why
device entirely.
that's why that's why I can't say that like oh they're the same thing. It's like well no, I mean I guess they are both politicians, and they are united in the sense that they're like American and they're politicians,
They
but
both buy
they
the
have
same stocks. I'll tell you that.
well right, but they have different interests. Obviously, there's overlap, but they have different interests.
I think
Well,
everybody
it's
has.
really fucking late. I didn't even. I'm sorry to cut you off, man. I was like, oh shit, I
Keep
need to
going
go
for
to
fucking
bed.
ever.
Yeah, man. I gotta work.
Gotta get some good
Uh,
sleeps.
yeah, man. I actually slept like for 6 hours last night, and it was perfect.
I think sleeping from like 5 to 8 anywhere, no more, no less, is fine. Even if it's on a like, I think you just have to be on a consistent schedule. I think is more important.
Yeah, I think 9 hours is pretty good. I think past that is like pushing it.
Yeah, like you wake up more tired past 9 hours.
Yeah, no, I think it's like I don't know if it's like 12 hours. I think it might be. It's like I think it's like if you sleep for more than 12 hours, like your body, I think it literally starts to like eat itself or something like that. Because like you're just not, you're hardly expending anything.
Yeah, I was in. This can be the last
Yeah,
thing
and
we end
like
on, just because I thought it was interesting. There's a lot of. I don't know how much of it's true because it's relatively. I don't know how new of a science it is, but just like the intermittent fasting. So not eating
I
for
do that.
16 hours. Brett was
I
saying
don't
like,
do 16 hours. I just don't
I
eat
guess 8
breakfast.
hours. I don't fucking. It's either 8 or 16, something like that. If you eat like at 8 o'clock at night, like you can't eat till like noon or 1 or something the next morning if you want to do it that way. And then I guess it's beneficial for cell regeneration, or I don't. Some people are claiming, oh, it might have cancer killing properties, or it's better for your gut biomes, or whatever the fuck. I don't know.
Okay. I wouldn't buy the cancer thing. I don't. That's a little bit pushing it.
Isn't that sad that like anytime someone says something has a benefit to like ward against cancer or kill cancer, it's just like automatically bullshit. It's pretty
Yeah,
depressing.
because it's a meme. Because like, yeah, they're just saying that to get you to like do it.
I just want to wear a shirt, cancer killing technology, just so people can
No,
ask me what it is.
that's the meme where it's like X thing is so good it can cure cancer, and the other one is X thing is so good it can end racism.
I love the ending racism one. It's one of my
Yeah,
favorites.
my brother went. He was like, the big breakfast from McDonald's is so good it can end racism.
It's one of those things like 3 years from now, McDonald's is gonna put that in their commercial and think it's like the funniest shit ever.
Yeah, no, and then I remember one time I was talking about how good I thought whatever thing I was talking about was. I think it was like some book or something, and then my brother goes, "But can it end racism?" That's the question, and I think we can answer that question on the next
You should get
podcast.
him a
Thank you for
pinata for his
listening.
birthday.
Well, his birthday was. Oh wait, yeah, you did remember that. Yeah, it was yesterday.
Double entendre. Anyways.
No. All right. Well, this was a good one.
Oh, were you actually feeling this one?
Yeah, I love talking about Slipknot. That was fun, and I can give you my recommendation sometime tomorrow
What
because I still need to figure out what it's going to be
What's your rating out of 10?
for the Slipknot.
Mm-hmm.
At least a 7. Very
Hey,
good.
solid.
People like when they hear it's like 7 out of 10. It's like guys, you were so used to hearing like the IGN bullshit stuff where it's like if it's not an 8 out of 10, it's not good.
So I think rating systems are kind of dumb because if it's not
Yeah,
perfect, it's
to an
going to be
extent.
like kind of good or average. Because like technically a C, like 70 out of 100, right, is going to be the same as a 7 out of 10, just on a larger scale.
Yeah, but it's like, yeah, you can't equate the whole like, oh, a 7 out of 10 is equivalent to like a 70 out of. It's like no, that's not. I
What I'm
don't
saying
think
is they're
those
the
are.
same average.
Yeah,
That's my point.
no, right, but I don't think they're comparable,
No, not at all.
and I don't. Right, and I hate when people do compare that, where it's like, oh, well, a 7 out of 10, you got a C minus. It's like, no, a 7 out of 10 for like judging an album or movie. That's very good.
Yeah. It's not the same as grades. I think
Seven,
that's why people think about it like that.
right? But I remember I asked myself when I was little, when I was like, if I got like a 70 on a test, and that was like near a fail, but I'm like, I know more than half of like the information. Like I know the majority of the information, not just 51 to 49, but I know it's 70 to 30. Like how is that bad?
Yeah, I've never understood the danger about that because like my parents always like they didn't like fucking punish me or anything, but they were just like disappointed when I got C's. I'm like, y'all realize I could get a C in every class and still graduate high school, right? Like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah,
oh,
no, my mom.
grades. Like, no one cares about grades. Even jobs don't care about grades. Like, why the fuck?
Oh yeah, my mom was like, I don't care if you get a C as long as you like learn something, which I did.
Yeah, because like it's only
Like
really important if you have to fucking retake a class or not get a credit. Like,
that
gives
sucks.
a shit.
Summer school, I never had to do that.
I didn't either. Thank fuck. I wasn't
I know,
as dumb
right?
to where I would like have to jeopardize that. But
Yeah. Oh man, that's gotta suck. Well, I'm sorry if you're in summer school right now, but
you're a
that's why
stupid
we're doing this
bitch.
podcast. Yes, so that you can forget about how stupid you are and that you can listen to us talk about things that are stupid.
Isn't it ironic you're being in school for longer than regular people and still be dumb?
No, dude. Aren't you supposed to get smarter from going to school?
You
Like,
get
what
dumber, I
happened,
think.
man? Well, yeah, and how it is now, definitely.
Fuck.
Dude. All right, well, this was a goodie.
Glad you liked it. It made me feel so good.
Me too, man. Buenas noches. Hasta
Buenos
luego.
nachos.
Bones and nachos.
So
Bye.
yeah.